All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Juice is Loose. We're on number 143, and yeah, it's kind of a open topic night. Didn't have really anything nailed down, so maybe if we hit on some topics at the end, maybe I'll just rename the podcast later. But yeah, let's just go right to Rob because I kind of already spoiled this in my Juice opinions, but you had an announcement to make, so you might as well just get that out of the way, and then we'll do this thing. So
do the deed now. Sure. So yeah, the announcement, it's not like a great one, but unfortunately for what will hopefully only be temporary. But for now, I'm going to have to leave the Juice is Loose. We talked about this, not last week, of course, because I wasn't on the podcast, but the one before that, when I was on, once we finished, we had kind of a conversation where I talked to the guys and I was like, hey, my life schedule is just super not going to work out with like a strict Monday at 4 o'clock every week kind of thing, which really sucks. You know, it's pretty much just like life reasons why it's just not going to work out. And, you know, for like all the listeners and stuff, the hardest part is really just because even like as I'm getting really busy with like my work and also my band and just all sorts of stuff like this summer, the biggest problem is like everyone's on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast. So like 7 o'clock on the East Coast when you guys do it, 7 would be great for me every Monday too, but everyone else's 7 is my 4. So that just makes everything really difficult, unfortunately. And, you know, if we did the Juice is Loose on like random times, I'm sure we could make it work, but it's just going to be so hard for me for at least, a couple months probably with work and stuff. It's going to be so hard for me to do every Monday at the exact same time. I realized it wasn't worth it for me to just commit to every week, and I wanted the rest of the guys and Juice to be able to like free up spaces for other people like Retro, you're here today and maybe you can do more things or whatever. I just felt it wasn't fair for me to like just be this random, maybe I'll make it this week and maybe I won't make it this week. So that's kind of the call for now is I might make a sporadic one here or there, like if Metroid was announced at E3 or something, I'm sure I'd love to try to find a way to come on to talk about Metroid or something like that. But at least for a couple of months, hopefully things die down maybe after summer. But for now, I would probably be a sporadic guest at best, probably after today, which is really sad, but that's the deal. So
yeah, I was thinking about like after you told us, you know, the next day it kind of hit me. I was like, man, what happens if then T gets some big directing job and he can't make it, and then you know and Terrell, you know, decides he can't make it. I was starting to get like, man, it's like I wonder what a band feels like when they're breaking up or when
they're dropping like flies, man.
And just we'll see how it goes, but yeah, we're gonna have a good send off for you, I think, tonight. And Retro Dust here because he wanted to, you know, I don't think he's been on too many times with you. He's always been the guy that's replaced you when you were gone. So he
now you're the permanent replacement.
So you guys should talk.
On the wet drop a couple of times.
Yeah, you were with a couple times. So
yeah, we did probably 2 or 3 times.
It's this snazzy new avatar icon, and now he's
know.
to leave us.
It's my goodbye face.
I think they made your biceps a little bigger in that picture.
I know.
We got
that cartoon exaggeration going on. That's what's happening.
Did you cut off the picture? Or is that all there is? Is there a bottom half?
No, I mean whatever shows up like. That's pretty much it. That's all there is.
Okay.
And that was a fan made it. A user made it for me and had offered a bunch of stuff. So yeah. So it was really great. It looks really cool. And yeah, I look super buff in that picture. That's my.
I always wondered about the Metroid one too. Was it also somebody else who made it for you, or did you make that yourself?
Yeah, the old one, that's actually one of my best friends, my best personal friends in real life back in Denver, Colorado, where I'm from. And he's like a professional artist and he does stuff kind of in that style. And so he just did that for me because he's a buddy and that's what he does. So
cool. I mean, we're losing really cool. Rob for a little while, but at least we got Retro. It's a great, you know, the time is good for him, right?
Yeah. I like how we are talking about replacement.
Yeah, the time.
What time is it in?
I'm still here, guys.
I was saying, wait until he leaves, man. Come on now.
You know how we do, man.
Yeah. It's going to be really sad, man. I'm so used to the Monday thing, and I always look forward to it. And so it's going to really suck.
Can listen to us. That's one of my biggest things that happened to me in the last few months. Why a lot of people probably don't see Liked by Terminator Juice nearly as much as because I can't have earbuds in at work anymore. So that was like 6 hours of just I could listen to podcasts and people's videos all day, and now I can't. So I was like,
That sucks.
I'm really missing out on a lot of videos. Like I still haven't watched Terrell's road trip videos, and Robert. I want to watch your movie reviews, and it's just like I
They're
got.
good too.
It's
They're
either
really-
listen to a podcast or play games when in my free time, or
Mhm.
and do home improvement stuff, and it's like I have to choose. So
So what you're saying is you prefer your video games to your friends. Got
I'm
it.
gonna play my video
How
games
dare
and
you.
listen to people talk about it.
I
That's
must
fair.
say,
I get it.
in light of Rob taking a little hiatus, I just want to
Yes,
say,
hiatus, yes.
in the immortal words of Danny Glover in The Color Purple,
Uh-oh.
hey, you'll be back. What you gonna do? You'll be back.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's an old school shout out.
You
That's a really heavy
you
shout out,
can't
too.
top that. You can't top that at all.
All right,
Well,
so
I thought you were gonna be. I'm getting too old for this shit, but you know, that's the other Danny Glover.
Different movie.
Yeah.
all right, let's get some discussion going. So
Mhm.
on the Juice Opinions on Friday, I covered the whole Gray Box developer of Rhyme came out and kind of course corrected, and I want to say what's up to Miss K because I don't think I've ever seen her in the live chat before, and
Oh
she's
yeah.
an awesome gamer.
It's okay.
And what's
Yeah,
up, Miss
she
K?
rocks.
What
So-
up, Kay?
Anyway, yeah, so I was talking about the pricing that they announced the digital version was going to be $10 cheaper, and instead of lowering the price of the cartridge, they're going to give you a digital download of the soundtrack, which they were going to sell for $10, which, you know, according to some people, the soundtrack's really amazing. So I talked about how I thought that's exactly what I was hoping for, and that's what I said right away, like just make the digital version cheaper. And I feel like it was a good compromise on their part, and also the right decision. And I mean, can't ask them whether you believe them or not to, if they say they'll be losing money or the retailer will have to take a less of a cut to drop the actual physical. But for me, I'm perfectly happy now. As long as the game's good, I have no issues supporting the game based on that announcement. And then actually the developer, Graybox, commented on the video and said, thanks for sharing the story and stuff. So
It's really cool that he did that.
that was cool. That was the
Appreciate
first time
Yeah,
any
very
kind
cool.
of any developer or anything's ever commented. So that was cool.
You're,
So what?
you're famous now. You made it.
Yeah.
Goes to show you they're listening, no matter how
Yeah.
big or small your channel is.
Mhm.
So, and I put it in the title. I had, Rhyme Redemption, so I'm sure they found it that way. But so, that's my feeling. I feel like that was the right call, and I have no problem buying the game as long as it's a good game. Based on that, I'll just buy the digital version, and I'm happy with that. So, what do you guys think? I mean, if you feel differently, feel free. Ms. T, what do you think?
I 100% agree. I mean, the main thing was that, the digital version, we all said, when it happens, like, why can the digital version at least be cheaper? Well, we got that, and if you want the, physical copy, you can get it for $10 more, but you get the soundtrack with it, which does sound pretty awesome. So I'm perfectly happy with it. I've already pre-ordered it, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not going that far yet. I still want to see. I haven't really watched any recent gameplay or anything, but definitely, if it seems like it's something up my alley, exploration and puzzles. So, Retro Death, I know you're kind of the harshest, hardest one to please sometimes. So, what's your take on this, and does it affect you over in Europe at all, or?
Well, it's funny actually because, well, first of all, for me, the game I think now is at 35 euros instead of $30 that you have, which basically almost makes it $40. But
Oh, really?
I still thought that OJ said this a lot, where he felt that $40 back then was okay. It's okay that it was $10 more because you get like console and handheld, and that is something I always personally disagreed with, because it felt like the handheld aspects of the Switch should not be a disadvantage. I feel it should be an advantage. I feel it should not be hidden behind a price barrier. So I also disagree that there should be no, at least for the digital version, should not be a difference in price, because then, like I said, it becomes a disadvantage to have it on the handheld. And that's one of the great things about the Switch, that it gives you the advantage of having it on handheld.
So what is
Yeah, that's
the,
a really good way to put it too.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So what was the pricing for Europe for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch versions? Where was it a $10 difference or $5 or I mean €5?
I honestly never looked. I never cared. I know I want to buy the game, so I never really cared. Just when it started to become an issue that it was more priced, I never really looked either at the PS4 or Xbox One versions because I know I'm gonna get it on the Switch, so I just didn't care enough.
Let me
And when,
try,
like I said,
Amazon.
and now I learned that even though it's 30 now for everywhere else, it's still 35 for me. So I'm assuming that meant after that it was even more expensive. So I don't know how that's handled. Maybe it has something to do with the localization, but yeah, like I said, I never really cared about the pricing enough to look it up at least.
Yeah, I'm looking right now on Amazon UK, and I don't know if that's pounds or euros, but they're showing $24.99 for PS4, Xbox One, and I'm not seeing the
The
Switch
Switch version?
version. Yeah.
I just want to say, like, before we move on is to the next person is, I forgot to add this in. We talked about this extensively, like when it happened, first on another podcast. And I was always on the side of, I was always expecting to pay more for a cartridge from the beginning. I don't think I ever articulated that before, but I expected it because I had done it in the past. I had done it when everybody else went CD and Nintendo continued to go cartridge. Those cartridges were $10, $20 more than
I have to agree, yeah.
than the other games. So I was expecting it. And for me, I was like, well, especially in those days, now not so much because we were all kind of used to loading times, but loading times was a huge thing to me back then. I hated sitting around waiting for loading times, and to be able to like pop my cartridge in and start playing, that was huge for me. So, that was one of the things. Like, obviously we had the issue with what was the game? Lego City, and I was like, oh, how can the load times not be that much better? That's not an advantage. Yeah. If that was an advantage, then I could see paying, the price or whatever. So for me, I was always expecting to pay more. As soon as Nintendo announced we're going carts, I was like, well, carts are going to cost more. I always thought that. So
it is weird that they actually offered, like what they said, they offered the soundtrack for free so that because they couldn't drop the price. And I was like, but it's cartridge. I never expected you to drop the price on that. It's obvious in my head that it's going to cost more.
Right.
Except, no one else was doing it. That was the only thing. Having the cartridge cost, or the Switch version cost more. No one else has done that yet. So
except for Puyo.
I was like Puyo
done it.
Tetris. Yeah, Puyo Tetris was like that.
And some people can do it, and some people, it doesn't affect them as much. Maybe they work out deals with Nintendo, like some of the bigger guys.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
like
the case.
Has-Been Heroes is like $20.
yeah, it's 20,
Right.
digital and physical. So, but anyway, let's get everyone else's take. Rob, what do you think? Do you think this was a good enough saving to save them maybe in the eyes of the fans?
I think mostly yes, but I kind of think yes less because like the soundtrack is like a really good value, and more because I just think it's pretty cool that they addressed it. I think normally like we wouldn't even have anyone do that. So once like you were the one who I think even posted the first article that had their quotes and like the announcement of what they were doing, and as I read it, I was like. I was like, okay, I'm not like excited about a soundtrack for going physical, but I really liked the fact that they phrased it and they acknowledged it. You could tell that they were like, they really seemed like genuine people who were like stuck between a rock and a hard place is kind of what it felt like. And so like, I understood where they were coming from a business sense. And I've definitely talked about my displeasure with the situation, but I still like understand it. And like T, you brought up the perfect point because you like probably half of us here, or most of us, like grew up in that time where the cartridges did make a difference. And like that 64 era, man, it was a whole different world. $80 for freaking Star Fox or whatever. Right. And so like I definitely have always understood the cartridge thing. And so when I saw their thing, like I was saying, like I just understood that where they were coming from, and I thought it was cool that they said that they acknowledged it. They acknowledged like people's complaints. It's one of those things where it's like sometimes you just want to be heard, man. You just hearing me? Like, just say that you hear me. And they were kind of like, hey, we hear you guys, and we're sorry. And here's the best we can do. And I actually think less than, and I'm the biggest physical media supporter in the world, but for me, less than adding the soundtrack, I'm more impressed that they dropped the digital down to 30. That's actually
Right.
the
Yeah.
pretty cool thing, man. Like, I actually really appreciate that they did that. And I think it's going to make way more people happy than anyone who might still be pissed off about the physical. So I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet. I know I still want the game on the Switch. It might be one of the few that I bite the bullet and just go digital. But I just think that it was really kind of cool that they did that. And like I said, I think they were just people stuck between a rock and a hard place because Nintendo went the route that they did. And they're like, now how do we charge for our game? So it was cool they said
Also-
something.
Also, doesn't that deconfirm that? Remember how apparently Nintendo were strict on.
See,
they
no
had-
one, we you brought that up before, but there was
No one
no
re-
official
that.
word from Nintendo on that.
Wait, which part? What is it now? What did
Well,
Or
you
the
that
say?
still
digital,
deconfirms it.
physical.
You know?
That part of it was a rumor from the beginning, right?
Yeah, where the digital and physical had to be the same price.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
it was apparently tossed around that Nintendo had a policy that it had to be
I-
the same on eShop and digital. I mean, retail stores. The
It's
price.
The retailer doesn't get undercut.
And that doesn't sound like an outrageous thing that
No, it
Nintendo would
doesn't.
do,
It
but
sounded
I think you guys are right. It is yet to be confirmed, right? So
And there's been examples where Puyo Puyo Tetris
Right.
was $10 cheaper.
Yeah,
yeah,
they didn't-
Puyo is
Poopy
yeah.
Poopy
care.
Tetris,
Jesus Christ.
which I
poop
wanted to
jokes always
buy,
work.
just the timing wasn't right. I might still pick that game up because it was addicting and fun playing couch co-op. But anyway,
There's a lot of people always that also blame Nintendo for the pricing, but I think I don't know if it was Nintendo that came out during this rhyme thing where they said that it is the developers who decide on the pricing of their games.
yeah, they did
Yeah.
say that.
Well, I'll defend that stance a little bit because that's been a huge part of what I talk. Like when I made a video about it, that was part of the discussion I had. Like I think that there's a case to be made for the fact that in this age where like that kind of that kind of business model, I would say, is like just kind of outdated. That was like 96 when the 64 came out. That was the last time we dealt with it. I think there's a case to be made where it doesn't fly with the consumer the same way it might have back then. Like when you brought up what you brought up. It's like
Mhm.
today, there's so many gamers gaming now who didn't even grow up when they weren't even alive when the 64 came
Right.
out. And so that's the kind of people that as the markets change over like decades and generations, which it's been that long, maybe you have to adjust. And so I think that there's an argument to be like, well, Nintendo chose to make their console in a way where it uses a media where sometimes games would cost more than the competition. And like, I'm not saying I don't understand it, and I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong, but I'm saying the reason for people to have issue with it, I think makes sense. It's just like not surprising.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's
not
like-
saying that nobody has a
Yeah.
right to be upset about it. I'm just saying, from my perspective, I didn't care. I like I said, I always expected the cartridge to be more because
It does
you
make
have to
sense.
manufacture them. So
Do you guys think it could hurt
And ship
Nintendo
'em.
though that some games would cost more? Like that's kind of the question it makes me think of.
It depends if Call of Duty World of War II comes out and says we're 70 instead of 60, that will hurt it.
Yeah, those are
Yeah, I
you're
don't
totally
think
right.
indie-
Those are the things I think about.
I don't think indie games are gonna really become that big of it because they don't do physical a lot anyway.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Which
Yeah.
we've already seen case of that.
only
one
if
too.
big third parties start doing it, then that would be
Yeah.
it'd look bad.
And I think
So-
those kinds of prices only depend if the game, for example, has to be ported by a different studio, then maybe
Yeah,
that studio
there's that.
requires money too.
But you know what else
Yeah.
I think it is? I think because indie games or indie companies, they're not going to order 5 million carts, and for
True,
their game,
yeah.
and they probably have to pay more because they order a smaller amount, because of the, how it is when
Or
you,
like bundle pricing. and
but yeah,
stuff.
bundle pricing,
Yeah.
right? So
I
that
see
might
what
be
you're
an
saying.
issue too.
Yeah, because it's tough. Like what's tricky is how unfortunately stupid and mean people can be. Like we can all sit here and understand, like, okay, this
Right.
is what happens. Like cartridges are radical, but they cost a little more. Okay, that's
Mhm.
fine. But a lot of people will be like, this is dumb. Nintendo doesn't get it. They're screwing their consumer. Their games cost $10 more sometimes. And that's the perception and like the conversation that I think about when we started to realize that, oh, this might happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And like,
I
it would be
can't
not
stand-
fair, but people are stupid sometimes.
I can't stand the new wave gamer mentality. So
That's what it is too,
Yeah.
man. And it is what
I
it is.
mean,
We're old, man. We're
I'd
out
pay
there.
$5 extra just not to have to install a game on a PS4.
You know what I'm saying? Like these are benefits that I was expecting to pay for. So
Mhm.
that's just
Or
my mentality,
if I buy the physical version, let me just not even have to have the disc in.
right?
If once I install it, just have a
That's
one-time
like
key or
straight
something.
PC. That's exactly the PC.
Yeah,
I
like
know.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's how I think it should be. Because at that point, why am I putting a disc in and taking one out? Like it's retarded. But anyway, Terrell had been very quiet on this subject.
I was just letting everyone else talk. As far as I mean, I think it goes a long way, and I think they're actually taking a risk by even dropping the digital price, because now they run the risk of the digital version selling more than the physical purely because it's cheaper. I also do like the fact that they mentioned how if you wanted to get the soundtrack in general, it would be $10. So it feels like essentially, I mean, technically it's like they're forcing you to buy the soundtrack, but if you bought the soundtrack, if like the PlayStation 4 owner bought the soundtrack, they still be spending $40 in total anyway.
Right.
Everything else I pretty much agree with. Like I think it will do a lot for the Nintendo fandom. I give them a lot of praise for being willing to take the risk of, well, now your physical copy might not sell as much, which is a huge issue because I mean, as you guys know, not all indie games get physical releases, and it's a kind of a huge thing when a game like a double A or even single A game gets a physical release. So to take the risk of being like, yeah, if you don't want to spend the extra $10, you can just buy the digital version. That's a pretty risky thing to do with this kind of title. So yeah, I give them props.
And when you look at it though, like with the Amazon and Best Buy Gamers Club, like it's 20% off of 40, so that's $8 off, and then whatever tax rate you have. So it's going to be about $34 for most people for the physical version, if you have those. Most people do in this community or in that, in this room right here. So it's not that big of a difference savings wise. I still think digital should always be cheaper, and it's like there's no benefit other than the convenience of not having to switch out the cart. Like I got Mario Kart 8 on my Wii U just sitting there on my internal memory, and I can't ever do anything with it,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a box to display if I ever wanted to, and I'm kind of regretting getting some of those games, but also the convenience of having them. Digital was nice at the time, so it's, I mean, I guess overall I feel there's more negatives to going digital than positives overall in the long run, especially when games, if you got to put on an external or a micro SD, there's always a chance of corrupted data and stuff years down the road.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's just scary. I mean, it's scary to think about.
Especially on a Nintendo console, because we don't know if you're going to transfer your stuff over. And, like this is the one thing we've been waiting for Nintendo to do forever. Like, is that purchase going to be stuck to that hardware? And up until now, including right now, it's been that way. So,
So yeah, it's it's a double-edged sword for me, because it's like the digital's cheaper and the convenience is nice, so I can leave in like Mario Kart or Street Fighter Arms when those come out, and I could have a game like an indie game like Rhyme or something always there. So I basically got 2 games always with you. Plus I got some other digitals, but 2 new games with me always at the same time, and don't have to mess with anything. But then it's like, yeah, what happens years down the road? I want to play Rhyme again, and it's been 15 years, and it's like, where is it?
Well, yeah, and the other thing that can happen is like, what if you keep your games but you get rid of your console? Like before I bought myself a new GameCube a couple years ago, I had a stack of like 15 GameCube games, and it's like.
mm-hmm.
And I know that some people could say, well, your game's saved to your account. And it's like, well, yeah, now, but in 15 years, the servers for the Xbox One and PS4 might not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever the case, just using random examples. So, you could keep your games even if you have to get rid of the hardware at some point. And they're always going to work, man. You put a disc into a GameCube, it's going to play your game. And that's always a benefit, too.
Years down the road, that's when you emulate, because that's all you'll have for some of these games.
Yep.
Is the emulator, which funny enough, I was watching, because there's a Wii U emulator out there, I guess, and so someone's trying to play Breath of the Wild, and it's like it's running at like 15, 19 frames per second. So what they do is they up the speed to make it look fast, like you're moving fast.
It looks like an 80s Steven Seagal movie where they like speed up the punches.
Watching all this, like, going into these command prompts and having to be freaking so tech savvy and program savvy. It's like you could a Wii U used in that game and been just enjoying it, or Switch, I guess, if you want to spend more, and people are just trying to waste their time, and it doesn't look any better, and it runs like crap, and maybe 5 years from now it'll be easier, but I ain't
aren't
gonna.
there
But
some
then you might
emulators?
as well just have the damn hardware.
That's what I'm saying, and like I don't like this. Like, go to this website and download this. Like, that is not a trusted
No.
place to
Yeah.
download.
Not at
anything.
all.
It's like, man, that's one of the things the PC community, it's like they just expect everything to be free, and they don't ever want to pay for anything. And even the Steam sale games are so cheap, and it's like they just don't. There's no value to this stuff. It's all free downloads, and to me
there's
that
kind
I
of
don't
like a
that.
lost. There's kind of like a lost purity in the spirit of gaming in that with that kind of stuff. I think might be
Mhm.
what you're saying. I definitely feel that.
I try to stay away from that side of PC gaming.
Yeah,
See, but I remember, like, I think that some emulators aren't they like pretty good because the
the Wii
big one
emulators.
I always.
No,
yeah,
the-
and that's
I'm
the
about to
one
say
I
the
think
Wii
of
Dolphin.
is Skyward Sword.
I was about to say the Wii U emulator is pretty good. I mean, overall, because people have already hacked Mario Kart 8, and you can get other games. It's
Yeah.
I think it's because Breath of the Wild is new and it just came out, so they're
Could
not they haven't emulated that game correctly yet. But the
And
other
then like
ones,
the
they're
old
already
school
done.
game emulators, those are really sweet too. Like I played some Genesis games and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
this
I'm
is-
about to say, I think and that's kind of the appeal of PC market. And unfortunately, with the internet age, we've gotten to this whole we can get things insanely quick now, which
Yeah.
means no one has any sense of patience.
Nope.
So everyone's like, how long I gotta wait for the DLC? 3 or 4 months? I ain't doing that.
yeah.
I'm gonna find me a way.
And that's one of the reasons
Life
Nintendo always would drop these crazy controllers too, is because they would, it was piracy. They were worried about people pirating their games. They want to make sure your experience on your pirated version is awful.
Was garbage.
Yeah. So that was one of the reasons they used to do that a lot too. They probably never say it, but that was definitely.
Yeah, you can tell that added to the reasoning.
It's a really good point. It's a really, really good point, actually.
Yeah, so I don't know. Anybody got anything else to say in this? And because I was gonna ask Tia a question about NBA Playgrounds, but
About the piracy thing in general.
yeah, if you want to keep the conversation going, if you got something to say, go
I
ahead.
just like them because I always hated when people complain, for example, that Nintendo's like anti-consumer or whatever, and then in the background they're like emulating like games like Mario Kart 8, and it's like, how can Nintendo be anti-consumer when you don't pay developers for their work?
Mhm.
I always think
It's
that's
just
weird.
it's nonsense.
That's why I like it when you have developers.
You're
I don't
anti-game
remember-
industry.
I don't remember what games. Some games do it. I saw a list once somewhere. I don't remember where developers actually put shit in their games where it can detect if it's pirated. And there was once a game that you couldn't finish it. You get some kind of code at the end, and then somebody asked,
I think I know what you're
somebody
talking. It was like
asked
a
the developer, like, "What is this code?" And the developer was like, "Well, that means you should probably pay for your game next time."
yeah.
It means you're a
That means you
thief.
pirated it. Yeah, that was awesome. I saw that
That's
on Twitter
really
or something.
cool.
I think.
I'm about to say, I think doesn't GTA have a thing if you hack the game and it makes your character wear like a dunce hat online, so like everyone can tell that you tried to hack the game.
Everyone can point at you and go,
Yeah,
I think
I'm about
they
to say,
also they also ban you real easy on
ban
GTA.
you.
I think
5.
The Witcher has something. I think it's The Witcher or something where like all the sex scenes or something, like all the pretty chicks are like replaced by fat.
Like, old like
That's
ladies or some grannies.
amazing.
Yeah, it replaces them with grannies or something. I remember hearing
Oh
about
my
that.
god,
That's funny.
that is so clever. I will say, like, to build off what you're saying, Retro, I totally agree with you. It's such a garbage attitude that some people have in that respect, and really hypocritical. And it reminds me of something else that I'm sure you'll relate to, and it's the music industry and music fans.
Oh,
It's
I
the
was going to
same-
bring up
They're the worst.
Pandora.
They're the worst.
yeah. I mean,
I work with
to
a
me,
kid. He's never
go ahead.
paid for music in his life. He just
I hate it.
Pandora. That's all he does is Pandora this, Pandora that. And
Oh man, well people think I'm crazy when I buy an album, like buy an actual CD album.
No,
and
you're
they're
the
like,
you're the real
"What?"
MVP, man.
They're
Yeah,
like,
man.
they're like, you bought
Good for
it? You
you.
bought it? I'm like, yeah. I want to have it physically. And then like, but how can you get it on your phone? I'm like, really? You just put it on your computer and you transfer it onto your
Yeah.
phone? Like,
Yeah, and sometimes they have these really weird contraptions that when you put the disc inside of it, it'll spin and then make music happen. It's really cool. You can tell that to your friends at school.
sounds like witchcraft to me, sir.
Yeah, what is this wizard?
yeah, it's like people think I'm crazy because I buy all the music I listen to.
so
And
great.
That's
like-
that in itself is crazy.
We got free music on the radio. If you want to wait for the song you want to hear, listen all day, you'll hear it 5-6 times. Like there's free music. It's called the radio out there, but they had to take it a step further.
Well, and it's weird because it's I know we really shouldn't devolve this into a music conversation, obviously, but it's just weird how that's one of the things, and the gaming conversation relates to this too, where it's like some people feel like they shouldn't have to pay for it. And it's like, well, people who make music or people who make a video game in this respect or whatever, like they're putting their time into it and that's how they're making a living. It's their job. Like, just taking it is the same as like walking into a grocery store and grabbing a bunch of groceries and walking out of the door. Like it's a product you buy and it supports other people's livelihood.
Well, I don't even think that it's a simple that they think they shouldn't have to. I think it's a simple fact of, well, it's not that I don't feel like they're justifying deserving money. I just don't want to spend the money on it, but I want to play the game. So I'm just gonna take it because I can take it.
Well, they do it because they're sitting at home, and
it's easy, and there's really no inherent punishment for it.
Right? There's no security guard waiting for you as you walk out the door.
Yeah, about to say, because like, be real with you, if you could go into a grocery store and just take groceries, most people would just do it. It's not a situation of whether or not they don't think it's morally right. It's a situation
consequences.
How easily can I do it without really dealing with any BS? And turns out when it comes to anything online, because this happens with anime with me all the time. I'm sitting there paying for streaming services, and I got friends who literally go look at the newest episode by just waiting for someone to rip it off the streaming service and put it on like a free sharing site. It's the same thing.
When people tell me they watch a movie that just came out like last weekend or something, someone's like, "Oh yeah, man, I got Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at home." I'm like, get the fuck out of here! Like, I got no respect for this conversation anymore, man.
Well, they got all the money in the world. They don't need my ticket. They'll make all the justification in the world.
That's not how it works, man.
You don't see all those.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, but what about actors? It's like, yeah, but what about all the other people?
Look at wait till the movie's over and look at those hundreds of names. Those people are $1 billion makers.
Thousands of names.
It's thousands of names sometimes. Those people don't make $1 million, $10 million.
Yeah, no one wants to watch your bootleg copy of Guardians that has like Iranian lettering all over it.
They're the ones who get hurt. Movie theaters are the ones who get hurt when Hollywood starts losing money. The small guys do, not the big guys.
Yeah.
And I brought up this in my juice opinions, and let's just look at the face value of the article. I guess this tracking info, which I've never even heard of. Usually there's estimates and guessing for box office numbers. All of a sudden there's this tracking company that's got Wonder Woman pegged to make like 65 million opening weekend, which would be a disaster.
Yeah, it's going to make way more than that.
I think it will, but it's like if that happened, and we don't have any women in this podcast, but that would really negatively affect any progress women were making for trying to get equal pay and stuff.
It would be
and
devastating. It'd be really devastating.
So if a woman was pirating Wonder Woman, like that's just like
when you think about that in that way, that wouldn't be.
I mean, that could be literally one of the last times a female gets like a big action, big budget movie and to be the lead.
I mean, it would probably be the last time because the one that happened before Wonder Woman was freaking Catwoman, which we don't dare speak of.
And even Ghost in the Shell this year, which I thought was a great movie, was another kind of bomb.
Yeah.
Flop. At a grocery store, it was, loss prevention was a big thing. If if we lost a certain amount from people stealing or whatever, they would look at us come evaluation. We wouldn't get a raise. That affected us. The manager still got his money. The corporate guys still got their money.
Oh yeah.
It affected the smaller dudes. So
it's,
just think about that when you're downloading that movie that just came out.
And even my buddy, he got an iPhone 6 Plus when that came out. And he's like, yeah, look at this app here. I can just watch Deadpool. He's like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. He's like, but I watched it
sounds
last
exciting.
Night. And I'm like, it just came out to the theater. He's like, yeah, I watched it last night. And he tried to show me. He's like, oh, it's not playing right now. But he's like, yeah, I watched the whole movie. And he's like, I just used the Apple TV and watched it on my 65-inch. And he's like, it looked really good. And I'm like that's just...
It's so weak, man. It's
no
so
conscience,
weak.
man.
No.
And when it comes to, and again, we shouldn't talk too much about non-gaming stuff, but like when it comes to movies, it's so much less cool to watch a movie that way. Like when it's Juice, I know you said you don't really care for that stuff, but like me and my girlfriend, we love the movie theater experience, and like when people cheering and getting excited and laughing at stuff, especially a funny movie like Deadpool. Like that's part of what makes it really cool. And then you lose that just like hunkering over your stupid little phone, watching a.
Well, yeah, but you can't blow it up.
Well, he said he put it on his TV, but still, this is weak. It's
my
weak
favorite
sauce.
Theater experience is when there's like 2 other people and they're sitting way at the front, and I'm all the way at the back, and I'm just like, yes, I have this whole thing to myself.
That's so funny. Everyone's so, and I know a lot of people who are the same way too. But
Well, what did I go to last?
You see, that was the last
Ghost in the
Shell,
Shell,
right?
I'm trying to remember if that might be the only movie I've seen this
you haven't
year.
seen Guardians yet?
No, this dude was down in the front row on the floor. I'm up all the way up in the back where I like to sit, and his phone was out the entire movie.
Wow.
And it was far enough away, and that it was small. Like to me, it wasn't a distraction. I just, did this dude pay to watch this movie, or does he get in for
why?
free? And he's just checking his phone the whole time. And that's a lot. Another thing with this generation, but let's try to get back.
Let's get up our high horses here.
Old grandpa's over here. When I was a kid.
Back in my day.
I agree.
But yeah, so T, I know you picked up NBA Playgrounds. I'm not sure if anybody else did.
Me too.
I
I
actually
did.
almost bought it today randomly, but I was like, no, I didn't. So
Because that's another game that launched, indie game kind of, that it doesn't have all the features on the Switch version yet. So I don't know if there's been an update.
No,
on the-
Not yet.
No. All right. I was kind of hoping there was some news with that, because they said it'd be right away.
I
But-
thought it would be a couple of days, 3 days. They said
and it's
Well, I
about
said a week, so we're gonna see. Oh
Yeah.
wait, yeah, it's kind of been like
tomorrow will be a week.
Tomorrow's been a week. That's like
We're
tomorrow's
counting
update's
down.
coming
We're
'Cause,
looking
I mean,
for that
I
update.
I can't see myself playing that game without somebody else. Just
That it's fun as hell. Like I have a blast. And then like I guess Robert, you played it with friends or something.
Oh, I've been playing every day. Usually second period at teachers in
So
there.
I'm sure that's a blast too. But my issues with it aren't really the online stuff. It's the wonky rumble. I don't know if you've had that issue, Robert, or not. But
Well, yeah,
like-
when you first when you lose stamina, it's like
and you try to cross over, and it's just like it wigs out on you. Like it's awful.
and that works
Yes.
split Joy-Con. Because how do you do the crossover? with
No, well,
this?
you don't do. I don't think
don't
you
know.
actually can do split. And with split Joy-Con, you can't. It's only when you have.
Yeah, because you need the second analog to do
Yeah,
crossover.
yeah.
So
So that wouldn't be a good one to take to work and say, hey, hand somebody a controller. You'd have to.
Well, you
No,
can
it's no. It
take your
did.
Joy-Con and
It's
take
great.
your
It's
Pro
great,
controller.
though.
Yeah,
it's
means I
still
gotta-
better than any other option. out
Yeah,
there.
it's-
Yeah, I don't know. For me, like again, like every day, like my friend keeps saying, "We're gonna play NBA. We're gonna play." I'm like,
How
all
does,
right.
does he have another? Does he have a set of Joy-Cons or something? How
No.
does-
We just keep playing single
Oh.
split, and I literally, I've been winning like 60 to 20 every single time.
Damn,
It's amazing.
you're
Like,
hustling him.
I've never lost because I'm just so good with threes. It's amazing.
But if you play the computer long enough, and I have, that AI gets cheap.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
gets cheap as hell.
Yeah,
like it
they
starts
can be
making
pretty cheap,
perfect 5-point shots and shit. It's just like get the fuck out of here.
Does it really have like? I mean, I've seen like some gameplay and stuff, but does it really feel like a modern NBA Jam?
Oh, it feels
Yeah.
just like it. Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
like
That's so
It's
cool,
definitely-
man.
Was the NBA Jam
controls great,
2-on?
everything. All that is perfect.
I thought NBA Jam was 3-on-3, but I must.
No, two
Two
on
on
No, it's
two.
2-on-2.
2-on-2, yeah.
Yeah, probably. I don't
Three
think I'm
is
gonna.
3-on-3, right? Or is it? No, maybe
Something
not.
was 3-on-3. I thought, but
Somebody.
You know, they might have. I remember when Tournament Edition, I think they added the ability where every team you picked would have 3, because each team only had like
Yeah.
2 NBA stars, and I
Yeah.
think that it became there was 3, and you could pick which 2 were your guys were. I think maybe that's what happened, if I remember
Yes.
right. So
yeah, I mean, I rented NBA Jam back in the day, and it was fun for a while.
I played
but
it in the arcades, man. I had
Yeah.
it on my Genesis. It was so good.
it just I didn't the fun didn't last too long for me. That's why I kind of waited on NBA Playgrounds. Maybe once the online comes out and hear you guys talk about it. But
Yeah, I saw somebody playing. I think it was probably PS4, and Big Cheese is playing somebody, and the dude rage quitted on it.
Oh, yeah.
It was hilarious.
People don't know
So-
how to take L's anymore,
They
man.
can't
No.
take L's,
I
man. But
remember
you know
that
what
in
happens?
Madden.
You quit. the game registers that you quitting. So the guy still
Sucker.
gets to win, and they get a loss regardless.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I love
sounds
that,
good.
and there's a lot of games that have been doing that lately. The
Yeah.
last couple of years, like especially like the Halo 5 and stuff. Like it tracks if you quit like 3 or 4 in a row, it like
Mhm.
bans you for like 20
Bans
40
you.
minutes or something.
Nice.
I love Gears
Yeah,
of War did the
good.
same thing, and I think that that's really cool.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I think what fighting game recently did that? They like it literally wasn't it Mortal Kombat.
Mortal
X, I think
Kombat,
that-
I think.
Mortal Kombat X, I think like oh yeah, it made you blow up or whatever.
That sounds right. That sounds about right for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Fatality.
10 out of 10, best game ever, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was a game that kind of got forgotten about quickly. I mean, till you said something, I had forgotten that came out. When has
I
it been?
played a good
Years
amount of
ago.
that, I'll say.
2 years
I'll
ago.
say.
Yeah, I have it. That's a really good game.
It
It is,
is
but
great.
you
A
know,
lot of
the
people
thing
still
is
own
like
Mortal Kombat. A lot of people
fighting
still own it.
games just don't have the lasting appeal like they
Yeah,
do.
that I'm already.
Mhm.
I'm kind of debating whether to keep my Street Fighter pre-order. I mean, it's only $28, but I'm just like, I don't know how much I'm gonna actually play that game.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I'm so pumped. I don't care about the
I'm gonna
Hadouken
play the
mode. I'm
hell out
so
of it.
excited, man.
Because
But-
talking about
That's-
online and stuff, you know, I'll share a story of my Saturday night, which was
Oh
one,
no.
one of the most frustrating I've had in a long
All
time.
right, it was like, all right, see it coming. Here it goes.
I was like, all right, early on Twitter and early in the day, like we play some Mario Kart online. A couple people said they'd be there, and so I can't. I had the tournament set up, but I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go play with randoms, and then friends can join through through that option. So I was, because when Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U first came out, I always picked regional, and it was like it grouped you with just people in the United States, and it was great. But eventually, the lobbies were too small. You might find one person, then all that was left was the worldwide option. So I'm like, well, everyone's excited, the game's selling well, I'm going to do regional. Communication error, which is what I had the last time I tried to play. So I restart the system, like someone says, hey, it helps. And I get in a match, and it's battle mode. It's the shine start, keep away or whatever. You got to keep it for 20 seconds. And I hit the dude, and he like spins out of my screen. And next thing you know, he's way up ahead. Like, I'm like, what the hell? And then the shine or star or whatever gets freed, and I go towards it. All of a sudden, it disappears. Somebody had it, and the countdown's like 2 seconds in already. So I was like, oh, this is a bad lobby. I back out, try to get in, communication error.
Damn.
Finally, I get in spectating, and I switched to racing at that point. So the battle mode's messed. Switched to racing, and I'm spectating this guy in first place, and he goes off the track. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. All of a sudden, he's back on the track, and he's still in first
Oh,
place.
jeez.
And he's like, through everything, he's getting hit with the red. And it's just like, I'm just spectating this. Everyone said United States, but then I noticed the little globe when you're choosing the stage, the globe of the the Earth that you're standing on.
The globe
It
of
was
the
like a
Earth.
freaking
What the hell?
it was like Mongolia. It was like China.
Oh man.
I'm like, I don't even recognize these islands. And I'm like, why? I don't know what that means. That's where its servers are out of. But I was like, I'm gonna try one more fucking. And I noticed when it searches, it takes like a minute, and then it says you're spectating, and then it shows the names of everybody that's in there, and that sits there for like 30 seconds, and then communication error, and I'm like, I'm fucking done. I turned it off, turned the switch off, and I was literally like, I'm fucking selling this game. Like, I'm done with it.
I couldn't tell from your text that you got that far. That you were
And
thinking
I was
you were
like-
just gonna be like, get rid of this game.
And I'm like, I said something on Twitter, and then Shadow Fox is like, I can't replicate it. I'm like, dude, it's like, I got a wired connection. I do the speed test. It's like 20 megabytes per second. And I was like, this isn't right. And then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, why was that always showing like a weird country? So I was like, you know what? Last night, I was like, before the podcast, I was like, if I go on the podcast without trying again, then I'm just going to shit on the game. But I was like, I'm going to try. I tried worldwide, and it shows me standing over Michigan. And no lag whatsoever. No one's teleporting. Gets right into the match. Of course, I get first place, and I'm feeling good. And next match, the globe is like slightly above Michigan in Canada, and there's people all over the world, no lag. And I played 7 matches, and the whole time it was flawless. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I go back to regional, and it worked okay, but again, the globe was like in Japan or something. So I don't know if it was just Saturday night was a busy night, or the internet was, a lot of people are online or streaming stuff on Saturdays versus Sunday nights. But last night was just a beautiful experience, and I just had so much fun. And I'm just like, God, I don't know which one to trust though. So I know T's played Mario Kart.
I've only played regional. I've never had a problem. That's what's bugging me out, because I'm like, that video I just put up with the battle mode, especially. We played for over an hour that night. I broke it down to, I think it's like a 30-minute video, but yeah, I mean, I haven't had any issues, so I'm completely baffled.
Yeah, it's crazy because I tried joining you one night.
Yeah, you tried joining that night,
and
that was the night you were trying to join.
Just kept saying can't connect to user.
Yeah,
it was a completely different error message. So, but the previous week, other than the tournament I had where like 5-6 guys joined, I had the same problem with lag in the battle mode, and it's just like it was unplayable. So, I mean, I don't have the fastest internet. It's 30 megs download, 5 up, but I have no one else in the house. I got nothing else running. I got my tablet connected, which maybe I could disconnect that, but with a wired connection, it shouldn't even.
Yeah, it shouldn't have any sort of effect.
So I'm just like, I didn't have this at all on the Wii U, except for that first weekend. There was a lot of communication errors. I don't think they anticipated all those people on the Wii U. I had never had this many problems with online on the Wii U ever. So
maybe they just were doing something weird that night, and it should have been a night where they should have like shut the servers down like for maintenance, but they decided to not. And
they did that today,
like
I think.
Yeah, T said, or I saw in the chat, someone was saying something about the network.
There's an update available for the Switch right now, actually.
Maybe that's what's going on.
Oh my God, is it?
I'm looking on NeoGAF right now. No one's
just stability.
No one's found anything yet. So
I gotta tell you, it's funny that happens. I hope it's a stability thing, because this morning, I turned on my Switch for. You guys are gonna laugh at me. It's probably the first time in a week since I beat Zelda, because I've been distracted with some other things. And I was like, I want to play some fast. I'm just craving some fast. And the first 3 times I tried to boot that game up, I would boot it up, and I would select my racer. I'd select my vehicle, and it would just freeze. It wouldn't load, and I was freaking out. I was like, no, I can't have a problem with my Switch, man. No way. And when it happened 3 times in a row, that was when I freaked out. Like, it would freeze, but I could still go to the home menu, and I'd think, okay, so like the Switch is running. There's a problem with fast, it seems. And so I would, you can press, I think, the plus or minus to bring up options and just like close it. It's either that or the X. One of the buttons. Or X, yeah. You can just like close the app. So I do that, and it would sit there for like another minute, and then the screen went black. I actually took a screen cap of it, and this message pops up that says the app closed due to an error, and there was an error code, and I was like, shit, this is so bad. And after 3 times in a row, it didn't work. I was like, holy crap. So what I did is I turned it off completely. I just powered it off. I didn't put it into sleep mode. And then I powered it back on, and I had no issues. So my theory is that maybe leaving it in sleep for a week messed something up. I have no idea if there's anything.
Yeah, you might want to turn it off every once in a while.
Yeah, and that's one of my biggest complaints about the Switch is you have to undock it, hold the power button, and to turn it off. But if it's docked,
I did it while it was docked.
Oh, you just went up to the actual.
Yeah, you go into the option.
Yeah, I just pressed the power button.
But you can't bring up the option to turn off without going and actually touching.
Yes, the home button won't give you that part's true.
Yeah. And if you turn it off and leave it docked, it automatically kicks back. It automatically restarts if it's docked. If it's undocked, it'll stay turned off.
Say that again now. If you do what?
No, you have a restart option.
If you hit the turn off button or turn off option,
then you dock it,
and maybe in dock it turns back on.
Yeah.
That is one of my biggest complaints about the Switch. I hate it that I cannot turn it off with the controller.
I know.
So often I do turn it off on the Switch, so then I turn off my Switch, on my TV. I see, okay, power off. I power off. I always flip my electricity. I never leave my electricity on. I flip all the shit because it costs way too much otherwise.
Smart man.
So I switch that, and then sometimes when I turn my electricity back on, all of a sudden the switch lights up. I was like, what the fuck are you lighting up? And then it turned out it itself in sleep mode without electricity, and it's something is really wonky with it turning off. And I really hope
It's just
that
like Skynet, man.
Well, it makes
you
me
can just turn it
think
off.
of what you guys have probably noticed this. Like, even if you put it in sleep mode, like when you dock it, you can see the screen pop on.
Yeah,
for
the
a
screen
second,
turns on.
You know, just to acknowledge that it's
Shows you
getting
the
like a battery feed.
percentage charging to that. It's
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it's I think it is plays into like however the whole OS of the system is laid out. All these different things we're talking about is obviously part of the problem.
yeah, it's
I
like
think that
just let me hold the home button and bring up the restart option, so I don't have to
I
get
bet
up.
they'll add that.
Yeah, they-
unless there's something in the hardware. I don't know if you guys know this stuff better than me. That where like it has to be like a hard connection and not like a wired connection to turn it off. Does that exist?
No, the Wii U could turn off by holding power
holding
button.
the power
So
button.
exactly. Yeah. So who knows?
And-
It's just so
Because
weird.
I've had to restart mine a few times for little things, and then someone said the communication errors, restart your system. And the first weekend it helped. Well, as soon as I did that, I was connected, no problem. But it's like I shouldn't have to restart this every time. It should just give me the option to turn the system off, because it only takes
Yeah.
seconds to boot up anyway when it's completely turned off. Just let me turn it off.
I shouldn't even have to Google when I had the switch. I should not even have to Google how to turn it off.
I know.
Yeah.
God.
I had to Google how to undo the parental controls, because I found myself not ever looking at my log time, and I was sick. Every time I do like a wire test, you have to enter the PIN. You have to unregister the app in the console settings. Is the only way to disable parental controls permanently.
And that's what you need to. I haven't done this yet, but that's what you need to view like your playtime, right?
It only shows how long you played that day. It doesn't break it down by game, and that's when I'm in the monthly. It just says most played game, played for 10 days, played for 9
Thanks.
days. It's
That's
so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like those things will be what they eventually change, and maybe that's even something at E3 when they're like, oh, and we also have a couple of new updates to the Switch coming, and we're going to add this, and you can turn your power off, but you can turn it off, stuff like that.
And I hope that this communication error stuff is, maybe it's just because it's a port of a Wii U game. I don't know. I haven't really played because I know Bomberman had some really bad lag when it was not with Retro, when it was somebody that was a random, when it wasn't a friend's, somebody on the friends
Retro was
list,
coming from France, and he
it was
fine.
working.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna charge people for online and the only thing it adds is the app and voice chat through the app,
Mhm.
and you don't address like the actual quality of the online, like
Well, I'm not a very technical guy, but isn't it possible that maybe it's just like your card and you can just exchange it?
You mean
I
like
guess
the
the
wireless
actual
card?
game.
Yeah, just the fact that you, for example, that in regional, for example, with Mario Kart, you couldn't connect, you had all these issues. Like, can that just be a problem, for example, with the card itself?
I don't know if that could be a game
I don't know.
specific problem, but I guess
It's
to look
possible if
into.
it's in a cart. Maybe that's a.
It's something to look into. Maybe if it keeps happening, I'll contact Nintendo, because I don't want to send in my damn Switch though for that. But
Everybody with a PS4, they pay for that on the internet, so
That's
now we
true.
get to join them.
Oh, guess what? Talking about PS4 Online. Did you know that I did not renew my PlayStation
Oh,
PS
man.
Plus?
Oh,
There we go.
son.
way to go!
It ended a couple days ago.
I'm
It
proud
ended
of
a
you.
couple days ago, and
Somebody
I
coming for you, boy.
looked at it. I was like,
Sony ponies
I
are
don't-
coming.
I just don't play any games online on it. So it's
Remember
like
the kid who's like, "It don't matter, I'll just pay it. Like $10 don't matter, I'll pay it." And we're like, "Dude, if you're consumer, you should be a little more worried about the money you're spending." But then you got your PC and
See,
everything.
that's-
changed.
now
What are you online with most of the
I
time?
play online for free on PC. All my Overwatch and all that stuff is all
I-
free on there. So it's like,
Does Overwatch require a Blizzard account?
yeah, it's like Battle.net or something.
It's Battle.net, yeah.
Yeah, because I know they have paid options for.
But
certain
Battle.net's been
games.
around since before
Yeah,
that
but not
became
for
a
them,
bigger
though.
problem.
Not for
Like,
Overwatch.
Okay,
you don't need Battle.net for Overwatch?
I mean, no,
you
you
need it, but it's
there's-
free.
Yeah, but it's not like you have to
Oh.
pay a subscription.
And there's no
for-
built-in voice chat through Battle.net, is there?
Not that I've
I
checked.
don't
Through.
think
A
so.
lot of people use Discord. Stuff
Yeah,
like
you
that.
got to use a third party. So That's
See, I actually have also been thinking about not having my PSN, my PlayStation Plus paid for lately. So it's interesting, Robert, to hear that you also, of all people, we're the only two people who are like, yeah, we'll pay for it. And you hear that you finally stopped doing it. But the reason I actually almost did it even like a month ago, but the reason I didn't, it's really stupid, but like, I'm like, I feel like if we get like another Bloodborne game, like I want access to those servers while I play that game. And I would literally pay for PSN just for a new like Souls kind of Bloodborne game.
well, as long as like
That's
I don't
like the
pay
only
for it,
game.
and I get all the benefits of Gravity Rush's 2 online features with.
See, do you? That's actually good to know. And I even meant to research in case I was thinking about it wrong anyway, and I just was lazy.
Yeah, I
Like,
get it.
you with Bloodborne and like Dark Souls, like you don't necessarily. Well, you do kind of play with some people, but it's more just like other people can like interact and leave messages with you in the game, and it's
Yeah,
like,
they do that in Gravity Rush 2. You can there's these treasure hunt challenges, and then so somebody, I don't know what starts it, but then you go find it, and then you take a picture using the game in-game camera, and then that you leave that as a clue for the next person that comes to that spot or comes within the vicinity, and then they get that photograph as a hint to find the treasure chest, and it's all online, and then you can
gotcha.
see like who's the fastest at some of the race challenges where you're racing in the various ways she can maneuver the environments. And I have not had anything restricted. The only thing I think, I don't even know if the share play, it's you got to have a wired or a really good connection. I don't even know if that's locked behind.
That's good to know.
Listen.
Like that stuff you talk about in Gravity Rush, that's definitely echoes kind of what it's like with the Souls games and with Bloodborne and stuff. And I really just kind of assumed that because that was like a player-to-player interaction thing in a game, I was like, well, that has to be behind their paywall. But if it's not in Gravity Rush, then maybe it wouldn't be. I shouldn't have been lazy that one day. I probably should have just researched it before I decided to keep paying for frickin' PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, this getting back to the Nintendo charging though, it'd be a softer blow. Obviously, it's $15-$20 or whatever a year, but they definitely need more than just. Well, here's your app. You can do it, friend invites and voice chat through an app. Like I really hope. Like,
I mean,
I don't want to
have
see
to
communication errors if I'm paying anything.
I have to feel that they have something just because it's Nintendo, and I just want to believe them with this exact thing, that they have something pretty significant and like unique planned.
The only thing that they can see is that Super Nintendo game with the online. Remember they were saying that? Remember they were saying the Super Nintendo game like a month
they just reconfirmed that. Yeah, every month you'll get
to
play a Super NES or NES game that was
with
a multiplayer. And they're adding online to that.
But I'd rather just buy that then.
But that's what they want, though. That's people are all mad about that. I thought that sounds totally cool to me, and they're just trying to say, "Well, buy the game, like or play it for free for 30 days." Like,
and everybody's gonna be playing it because it's the game you'll have to play. So if you spread it out, make 5 or 6 games available in a month, and then everyone's playing spread across, a bunch of different games. So I don't mind that, but. And that's a nice little addition, and we'll see which games they choose, which will really make or break that for me.
Super Metroid Online, bring it on! I'm ready.
A leaderboard with speedruns, that could be cool.
I'm thinking more like a Turtles in Time 4-player co-op type of thing.
See, there's so many games like that in Super Nintendo, like Final Fight and Alien vs Predator, and oh my God, many good beat 'em ups.
Well, at least Turtles and Alien vs Predator involve licensing. So. Those
ones
Super
probably
Mario Kart online.
What's that?
Yeah,
Super Mario Kart and F-Zero.
Obviously,
they were.
But that's Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
He's saying like whatever the company is that is Turtles, and Fox. I think
Konami did those Turtle games.
Oh, they did. Yeah, but who owns the Turtles though? Not
Nickelodeon.
Is it Nickelodeon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Has it always been Nickelodeon?
No.
No, that's recent. That's somewhat recent.
Okay, yeah, because the show that I grew up with, that sure as hell was not on.
That was Fox.
Was it?
Yeah, that was Fox. You're probably talking about the good version, the 2000.
Yeah, of course.
2003 version.
The good Turtles, yeah.
quality.
Oh yeah, that's because what is it? Michelangelo's a party dude, man. Come
That's
on.
right, man.
Exactly.
Oh man,
Teenage
let's have a
in
marathon right now.
I know the whole song. I ain't gonna sing it.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Now you remind me of DuckTales. But
That
I'll
was
tell you
a
what.
DuckTales.
If we do this every podcast, I'm gonna tell work to fuck off, and I'll be back.
So what are some other online games that are coming out soon? We got Street Fighter and ARMS. Is there any others that are like
Splatoon.
Splatoon? That's I was thinking anything before.
About saying
Splatoon.
because this guy isn't online.
Is
It doesn't-
Minecraft?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Minecraft.
Minecraft just came out with online.
Minecraft has to be online.
So it's going to be interesting to see, because they said by summer there'd be like a beta app. So
Summer could be September.
yeah,
yeah,
Come on now.
it's summer-esque.
so
Yeah.
it's going to be
No, it's not.
interesting to
You got
see.
freaking arms in spring, so let's
Yeah.
just let
What
you
if
know.
I only got
Mhm.
I only got 2 arms and no legs? What am I
That
supposed
goes
to do?
back to my whole thing, and this even like another rumor about Call of Duty and stuff popping up too. Like, I just really want to know what they're going to launch the thing with, and it's why I really believed was totally wrong here, but I really believed ARMS or Splatoon was going to be one of their games they would launch the service with.
Yeah.
They might
and
do
they're
Splatoon
not.
too, but I think
Yeah,
you
I
think they would have
July?
mentioned it.
Yeah, I think so, and I just feel like July. I mean, I'd love it if it launched in July, but they were pretty adamant that it was fall, and July
Yeah.
is the polar opposite. Of
I think
fall.
the beta app will be in with Splatoon 2 on.
That would be smart, actually.
What
So
do you
people
think-
could start to get excited for it, And
I
so
was
Call of
listening-
Duty is the big rumor now that if Call of Duty gets confirmed, they
Well,
would
with
use
Call
that.
of Duty, it's kind of a good change because it's just the
It
it's
is.
not even like a rumor.
I
It's
wouldn't
just
be surprised, man.
The team took a photo of them, making Call of Duty, and so it's like, well, they made Nintendo ports in the past, so.
Wait,
Switch
who
might
did
have-
what picture now? What is it?
They took it's literally like the team taking a photo of themselves and doing like saying we're working on the
Yeah.
World War II whatever or
And
something
they
like
were,
that.
The Activision team?
Yeah, well, yeah, the guys who usually port the Nintendo Switch. Well, not the
Really?
I'm not. They've never.
they were
They
were
were
eating-
Wii and Wii U.
they were
Yeah.
eating
Yeah.
prime rib while having Metroid cufflinks.
No, we're not talking about that garbage. Stupid.
While wearing
Like-
Metroid cufflinks.
Just brought out this damn trauma all of a sudden.
Oh God, that's
It's
so
like,
dumb that
Give
people
me
got
these
it.
flashbacks from those days. I can't take it.
On a,
It's
on a
too much
3D
for me.
on a
It
3D
wasn't even
printed
prime rib.
plate.
Rest in peace and shit.
No 3D printing, juice. No, nothing. None of that stuff. 3D printed prime rib.
Speaking of which, did you see? I know Juice. I think you're subscribed to Blunty, right?
Mhm.
Did you see his video on the 3D printer? Like
I
$160
didn't
one.
watch that one yet. I saw that he'd been making some stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty cool.
For $160, that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but what kind of quality is it? Because I saw one in Barnes and Noble that was like really bad quality.
It just, I mean, you're not going to
His
get
stuff looked pretty
intricate,
good.
but
I mean, it wasn't like
Yeah.
yeah.
but making like there's so many things where it's like, let's say you break a plastic bracket off something, or it's like man, you just can't glue this back together. You need a solid piece, and it's like if
Right.
if that particular item somebody had the schematics online and the CAD drawing or whatever, and you could just bump it in, put it
I'll
into
tell you
the
what that gets me really excited for is like, and the technology will have to get really advanced like in 20 years probably, but for like car parts and stuff,
Mhm.
that would be incredible, man.
Oh my
like
gosh.
to be able to
And
work on your vehicle.
to make your own switches, so we get 3D print.
I want to make some custom grips for my Joy-Con. That'd be cool.
Just think about it, Robert. You can make your own ribbon girl.
It's all about Min, by the way.
Yes.
Man,
Oh, Min, actually, yeah.
Get a
Min
min.
man.
team.
And I was watching some of that Japanese tournament thing, and that's some pretty fast action. Like they're moving quick. Like at first I thought it was a little floaty when I first saw the game, but that was some pretty quick, intense matches. And there was a lot of hitting the timer though, where it was like, or getting right down to the end where people were dodging so well, no one was making any.
I love those
Contact.
close matches.
See, that's
though. That shit's so
balance.
hype.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, I mean, the game looks cool, and his personality is just awesome. I don't know why, it's just so funny to watch. Just his little animation when you're on the character select screen, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see how the online. I'm hoping that the Mario Kart 8 that was just a bad night, and it's not going to continue. But after that, last night was beautiful. I didn't want to stop playing, but it was 11:30, and I think I played 8 races worldwide, and I think I got first on 5 or 6 of them, and I was like, yes, I'm on a roll. And then it's like, I got to go to bed. Damn work. And it was just one of those nights where things were working well, and I hope that's what continues, and not the Saturday night where it's.
I mean, this is like the first I've seen or heard from anyone about it, so I'm hoping it's like a one-off. I bet you won't really see it again, and I'm probably going to buy the game next week finally. So I hope it's not crappy, because then I'll be really disappointed.
I was really into the Grand Prix and time trials. I finally got the gold tires and the gold cart, and so I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I got most of the carts unlocked. I'm ready to go online on Saturday, and I didn't even play the Switch Friday night. I broke my streak.
Oh.
I didn't play the Switch at all Friday, and so I came back Saturday. I was like, all right, I'm going in tonight, and it was a bad experience. So hopefully that doesn't continue. But I
was gonna say, cause you messaged us on Saturday, like, we're playing online, and I'm like, you mean Mario Kart? Yeah. And I'm like, well, I can't play.
Yep.
But so Rob, I should say, you haven't been on since you finished Zelda. I don't want like all your thoughts and stuff, but just and Retro, you beat the game, didn't you?
Zelda?
Yeah.
No, I just a couple of days ago did the 4th Divine Beast.
Okay, so no spoilers. Just Rob, how'd you feel concluding the game, and how do you feel about the game now that you didn't like go on and like try to get more shrines and stuff, but finishing up the story and the memories and stuff. How did Zelda as a whole, how do you feel about it now that you've finished
that I've completed the epicness? It's I'm actually glad, Retro, that you said you hadn't beaten it yet, because I can change my conversation. I have actually so many thoughts about it, and so I actually thought about making my own video about the darn thing. And I definitely am going to go back and start doing more stuff, because I've already been kind of starting to crave the world. I've just been playing Prey a lot, so I got distracted moving on to something new. It was incredible. I definitely loved it. It's tough because there's a couple things where I can't really talk about them, but there are some things where I was surprised how they wrapped up, and I would have expected and wanted something different to be about the final encounter. But the final encounter was great, and I like how, trying to pick my words carefully, some of the previous characters that you meet in the game, like, they help you kind of. Like, a thing happens at the end that I was not expecting to happen.
Really? I saw that. I knew that was coming, but
I guess I expected it, but the way it happened and the time it happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was just awesome. And I was like, I got so amped when that happened. I was
pretty not choked up, but I was in the moment when they all gave a little bit of dialogue.
Yeah, I was with you there, like kind of like a choked up feeling, like the emotion of like, oh my God, the last 4 trillion hours I've spent, and like it's come to this, man, it's come to this. And I kind of feel like I went through the castle really fast, and I spent very little time at the castle. You guys know I kept it like always in the back of my playtime the whole time. Like, I went there the day that I beat the game. I went there just to get the one memory that's there, which really pissed me off that there was a memory there. And but I got it, and then I went and then got the final memory after that. And then it's like, well, I just don't want to keep searching through this game. I need to get this darn thing behind me. So I basically was like, fuck it, I'm just going there. I got all my memories, I got all the beasts, I'm going. And so I just went to the castle. I was able to get through it, to where I needed to go, probably in about 15 minutes. And I think it's a really big area, I realized, that castle.
Mm-hmm.
I love what it looks like it was put together in, but I didn't even think I was walking into the final boss area. It just happened. Like, I didn't
just
really
like
know.
me.
Really?
Yeah. I kind of backed into it, like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, this is it. And so then it happened, and the first half I loved, because it was so Dark Soulsy. Like, it really played out in a Dark Souls kind of fashion, and I really appreciated that. And I was really angry many times, and I was swearing a lot, and it was really good. And then And then the back half was great because it was kind of just more a thematic finale than it was like push your skills to the limit.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's not what that was. And for wrapping up what the game was and what the story and Link was doing and stuff, I thought that was really cool. So it feels great, except that I'm just left with this, like, there's so much of the game I didn't finish. You know, the game gives you the ability to beat it in so many different, like, completion percentages. And I have, I think, 75, 78 shrines or something, you know, like a good amount more than half. But all I can think, and there's a whole section of the map I really didn't even let myself explore yet.
Mm.
I was going to ask you
like,
how much you had in general before you finished it.
Well, I did make sure to get all of the towers, but there's probably the whole top left corner of the map I barely touched. I really
how many
barely
Koroks
touched.
do you have?
Not a whole lot, probably like 90. 80
Okay.
or 90. Yeah.
So
How
like
many,
the
like,
Snow
where are
Peak
you at?
area?
Yeah.
I'm at right now 300 something Koroks, I think, and I'm at like
my
105 shrines.
Damn. Good job.
Yeah, and
man.
I beat the game with like 107 shrines and maybe 150 Korok seeds, something like that.
It's like I said, I didn't finish it yet, but I'm playing it all the time. And like I said, I haven't finished it yet, but I can add to what Rob was saying about the castle. Like I've been like hours in the castle. It's one of my favorite levels ever
That's
made,
awesome.
and it's so beautiful. The castle.
And then I went 3 times, and I'm still finding new little spots.
Well, and what's cool is when I was going and trying to find where the one memory is. And Retro, have you done the memory stuff yet? Or
The only memory I still need is I have the one in the castle, but I'm missing one somewhere that I just can't find.
Is it still the one in the woods?
Yeah,
In the woods,
I did. Since you told me about that, Juice, I did locate that character. I did the side quest, so I'm assuming somewhere I'm gonna find somebody now who's gonna point me in the right direction.
Well, yeah,
I have the one in the castle.
In stable, there's there's a guy that'll be in most of the stables, and
And that's what you said. So I did that side quest.
oh yeah, the artist, the artist guy.
and then he's like, "Oh, you got any photos to show me?" And if you haven't found,
I found him twice already, but I was hoping I could show him any photo, but he picked like photos
you
already.
got to be at the right.
He
You
knows
gotta be at
right what
the
he
right
wants.
stable to activate. You know, if it's just the last memory, you have to go to the right stable to have him say, "Oh, let me see this picture."
Yeah, I think the stable he's at determines like what picture he'll look at. Kind of
that's how
I'm
it
right now, so now I'm fast traveling between the towns and the stables to find the correct dude that I need.
That's smart. That'll get you what you need.
I had talked to him like early on before I went to the Zoras and before I went to it might have been before I even did my first Divine Beast, but I think it was right after. And I hadn't done really anything. And I was just like, at some point I went to one of the stables and he's like, "Oh yeah, that looks like this. It's in south of this spot and north of this spot." You know, I'm just like, "Oh, I ain't gonna go searching for that. It's gonna be a pain in the ass." And I completely then I had to backtrack, do what you did. I had to travel to all these damn stables trying to find that one guy that told me that. and if I just would have listened what he said and quickly looked at the map, it's like gave you pretty good directions.
What I did is once I realized what he did, every time I talked to him, I screen capped what he said.
Yeah.
And I kept it in my screen cap so I could go back and look at his directions.
Yeah, I did that for
people say stuff like that to me. I open the map and I put a sword symbol there that I know I have to go in that direction still.
Yeah. If you really take advantage of the little beat icons you can make, that it gets really helpful.
Yeah, I had my own little techniques there too, and But I was just gonna say, you know, I beat the game with 105, 107 shrines, whatever, and I honestly had the next 50, 60 hours was just as much fun playing the game. I had all the towers already, I had all the memories, but just going, finding the shrines and upgrading my gear and paying attention to what I needed to upgrade the Zora outfit. I found the Zora helm, after I beat the game.
I've got that one.
Completes, the set, which you can swim really fast. And then when you upgrade it twice, then it's got a nice bonus effect where it barely uses any stamina when you do the lunge swim or whatever. And so I really got into the as Terrell would say, the meta game of just upgrading my gear, finding out what I needed. And then when you get the 120 shrines, there's a prize or prizes. And then I was like looking at that, I was like, I ain't gonna be able to get this stuff. And then I just looked at used the little I've been taking photos throughout the game and saving them to of different creatures,
the compendium or whatever.
Yeah. And I had taken a picture of this bug that I had never seen any other place. I happened to have taken a picture, so I put the sensor on, and I just was using. I think I was going to one of the dragons. I was just going to go get a scale from them, and I put the Sheikah sensor on, and I hadn't had any action. All of a sudden, bloop bloop, and I started creeping up, and then there's like 3 other types of this beetle that are like in this area, and it was just I found them real. It was really, with just using the game. I hadn't looked up anything like where to find the.
It's like Zelda's version of Google.
Yeah, and it was so cool. I just happened to take that one photo, and then so I found all the resources I needed, and then, got everything upgraded pretty much max that I use that I like, and during that time I switched my favorite outfit, changed like 20 different times, and it was just a cool experience, and then. Learning the Hyrule Castle, like I went the 3rd time and I spent over an hour. There's treasure chests everywhere, like all these little towers and all these little spots
and shit.
And I'm like, I just really went in and just I didn't even know this area was here. Like,
well, I couldn't believe that they had different rooms and like there's like more like journal entries from Zelda and stuff in there. I was like, holy, it's nothing like what I ever pictured when I was playing through the game.
Yeah,
really impressive.
There's hidden rooms if you use magnesis to light up, lights up spots for you that you wouldn't see.
And that's kind of where I have like a weird like 50-50 with that whole concept, because the good part of the 50-50 is like I think it's amazing that they just made it this free-form thing that just exists and you can explore as little or as much as you want. And it's really brilliant the way they did it, and it's well designed. But it's one of the few areas where I kind of like get a little bit sad at the way the old Zelda games were. And it's like, what if they just made that just a straight up dungeon that had like a puzzle solving course all the way through it to the end? Because I do still kind of miss that a little bit, even in Breath of the Wild. And it's like, this castle is so cool. What if it was still set up the old way? So I kind of go back and forth on that.
They could have done that. I like the multiple entrances, which if you take one entrance, you'll be forced to find one of the secret passages, which is how I found them. And then like, because I was coming up a tunnel and I'm like, oh, there's a wall here, what do I do? And then I just thought, well, let me try my stasis. Nope. And I tried magnesis, like, oh yeah, I can move this. And then I was in a room, this common area, like, oh, I've been here like 3 times. So then I found other hidden areas. It's
definitely
really cool.
True. Like I mean to that point, and why it is amazing is once I really like resigned myself to the fact that, okay, I got to go see what this castle's all about. Like I was like trying to find my ways to it. I was not comfortable running through the front of Hyrule Field. Like I wasn't there. So I was like, no. And so I was going around like the back, like the northern and like kind of the western parts, like, and because you can like hop off a ledge and just like fly and just go land on it in different sections. And I did that from 2 different sections. And it was cool because it was like, how do I use the world to get me to this castle as opposed to just like walk through the front door and just like see what happens. And that really was fun because it was the perfect example of how the game is really just this big organic place. And there's no game boundaries that's preventing you from do anything. It's like if a castle existed in a world, you could just go into it however you wanted. You could do that. And the game lets you do that. And I totally enjoyed that part of it.
And a couple of moments where I thought like that actually a couple of real specific moments that made me feel like this is the greatest game ever. And I think Rob is going to like that. When I went at one point in one side of the castle just to explore, and I came in like the docks, and that gave me this real Dark Souls vibe. It was so creepy, and you had these torches everywhere, and then a shrine pops up, and it's like, holy shit, there's a shrine here, and all these enemies. Like, it made the world feel alive. The fact there was a dog going outside that I never saw from the outside, and it's just so beautifully done how dynamic the world feels.
Yeah, and I didn't want to spoil in case Rob. I mentioned it before, but yeah, and Robert was the first one to say there is a shrine to be found on the castle grounds.
Oh,
So.
really?
Yeah.
But your
Did
sensor
you find that, Robert, the first time you went through it?
Yeah, no, well, okay, so what happened for me was every time I would go to the castle, I knew a specific route, and I would never go in the castle. And one day after I beat the game, I was like, well, let me actually go in the castle.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up in the castle, and there you go. It wasn't even there. You had to, it's one of those things you had to make it appear, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the Sheikah sensor didn't go off. There was no shrine quest. It was
I
just,
started to realize there are shrines that
I was
don't
like, oh my
do
God,
that.
that's random.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's how I found it.
I don't know if I don't think this would be a spoiler. Is it a shrine that has a puzzle inside it, or is it one of the
I
ones
don't
where it's like,
remember.
oh, you
I
found
don't
it?
remember
either.
that.
I'm sure it wasn't, because usually those
It might have
don't.
been
Yeah, you're right.
I'm thinking it was a battle, or it's you've already earned the right.
The
like,
combat one. I don't like the
it
combat
could be a
ones,
combat
man.
one, or it
Yeah.
could be you've already proven yourself. It was one of those two.
Yeah, and I think that Robert might be right. Usually those ones are the ones where it's like, you've already proven yourself. You're so great. Here's the thing, you know.
I hate those the most, especially when you didn't even do anything. Some of them I can understand.
couple of
like,
them.
the
Yeah,
mazes,
you
but
really.
some of them you find them and it's like, and I'm like, yes, give me this puzzle finally, and I get a blessing. I'm
Yes.
like, wait, where's my puzzle?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I want so many puzzles.
Yeah.
Totally.
Did
Like,
anybody-
I just need-
Find the Cass, the bird with the accordions, like little journals in the world.
Yeah, I think I did. I think wasn't
Where it gives you-
some of them I think are in stables. Am I remembering that right?
Well, no, he's got a little home that you have to land
Oh.
on, and he's got
Oh,
a
nice.
journal.
Yeah,
That
I
tells
found
you-
that.
All the places he's gonna go, and that's how you know where he's like. You can use that, which I screen capped all of them because it's like there's like 10 of them, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to this spot, and so that's if you didn't read the journal, you could still go to that, end up in that spot, and have the little song and have the little shrine quest. But because I had found his journal, I knew all the places he was gonna be.
Gotcha. That's
So
pretty
I
cool.
went to those areas and then listened for
I
the
think
music.
I found like
It's way
5
too much
or-
shit in this game.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5 of them. The one with the arrows through the rocks. Remember that one? We had to
Yeah,
shoot the
I
arrows?
couldn't find the damn. It took me a long
Holy
time to find the
crap.
right rocks. I didn't know they were gonna be that far away, like from
Yeah.
where he was. But like, I feel like if I turn the game on, I'd have to just start over. Like, I can't. The save file I have, finding a few more Korok seeds doesn't really interest me. Like, I have nothing, no goals left on that save file. So I created a second account on my Switch so I could start over. But I'm just gonna wait for the hard mode and the DLC and stuff.
Yeah, I think that this will be a great game to like revisit after like 2 or 3 years, man.
I'm already looking forward to starting over like in a month
Really?
or two. Yeah,
That's cool.
Damn.
like
There's something I
August
wanted
can't-
to ask for those who finished the game already, because some games do it where you finish the game and it puts you back at your previous
It
save
does.
data.
That's
And
what
I
it does.
hate that. Is that what
Yeah,
it does?
it's annoying.
That's the Zelda way.
It
Because
bums
there's
me
some
out.
games, like Borderlands 2 does it perfectly, where you can redo the final boss, but the world acknowledges that you finished the game, and I
Yeah,
love that.
that's what I was hoping too, man.
You finish a game and it doesn't even save anything.
You get a
I'm
star.
Yeah, it gives you
It
a
is.
star.
You get a little star by your.
Ooh.
thing.
Shows your percentage on the map when you go to the map in the bottom
Mhm.
left.
Okay,
But-
so there's a
Oh,
point.
that's
okay.
where that is. Yeah, I haven't
The
even
thing-
checked that yet.
The reason I think they did it because no story spoilers, but still the NPCs you would go talk to, they would have to completely change
Yeah,
a lot of NPCs.
Yeah, but like I said, some games do that, like Borderlands 2, where the whole game almost dynamically changes even though you're
Yeah.
done. So they acknowledge that the world changed because of what you did.
They probably wanted to do that, but I mean, that game's gonna be another year. They're gonna have
Yeah.
to work on it another year probably to pull that off.
But does it save at least when you finish it, or does it put you back at
It
the
puts you
previous
right
save
back to the
file?
save, right? Because I saved right before I went in, but it auto saves too.
Yeah, I'd have to probably check. I would assume the same
Yeah.
thing. I will say, I have to, again, this is a really hard conversation to have because I don't want to spoil it because of retro. But I do have
I'll finish
like,
it before next week.
Say what now?
I'll finish it before next week.
Oh, okay. But I still don't want to spoil this for you, though. But, like, there is something about the final boss that, like, I really am still kind of struggling with and don't love. I'm curious, do all you guys like what was your guys' like general just feeling about
absolutely
it?
love
Are you talking about the second half of that fight?
No, not that at all. It's something that's more like a thematic thing than it is like the battle itself. I don't know if, and I don't.
The one thing I would have,
No.
I mean, it depends on. You wanna the villain to have some dialogue, is what you're saying, maybe?
I mean, I kind of want the villain to be a villain. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, but I was
I
like,
pretty much
at this
shed
point-
my. The more I got into the game, I pretty much started to shed my pre-existing like Zelda trope kind of bias, and just
Yeah.
let the game be what it was. And I enjoyed it a lot more after that.
Sure, and I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I have to clarify. Like, this game is a 10 out of 10. I'm not saying this like ruined
Yeah.
the game.
No,
But
I
I
know what
think
you're
that-
saying though. I
Yeah,
totally get what
there's
you're
something
saying.
missing, man. Like, there's something missing there.
I think it
and
fit with everything. All the 4 Divine Beast fights.
It
though.
does.
Like, it didn't.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
It fit right in with what they had established, and just the music for me and
Yeah, I thought it was
the
great.
design and the setting and everything. Like,
Yes.
that's the most thrilling Zelda finale. I mean, yeah, it didn't have that satisfaction of the
See,
Wind
I-
Waker
that I
sword through
can't-
the head.
Well,
to
yeah,
me,
but
it was
even more than that,
It wasn't even the fight itself; it was the aftermath of the fight.
Yeah, to me the
I
fight,
don't want to. Again, we got to wait for retro. I don't wanna
Yeah.
because
sour it or anything. For
you got. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but Zelda final boss fights have never really been the standout of the game for me. Anyway,
me neither.
Yeah.
And
For
this
me, it's in
game's-
dungeons, but the game didn't
The
have
thing,
that.
you know, thematically, they've been like, "Oh, this is epic," but
there's been
practically, it wasn't that big of a. thing, you know.
I mean,
To
fighting.
me, I think this was better than like Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I mean,
ending.
I liked
Really?
a lot of it better.
Yeah.
See, the Twilight
Princess
Princess
should
ending is
never have
pretty
had
damn
Ganon.
good, man.
I'm about to say, because like I mean, granted, I haven't played the game myself, but I have seen the ending fight. I thought
It
ending-
looks cool. Like I screen capped it on
Yeah.
the HD version,
Yeah,
but
it looks
wasn't
awesome.
that. It isn't that thrilling to.
It's
for me
not
to play
that.
it.
I think it's
This
the
one
biggest
is
problem.
way
Is
more creative and
I
stuff.
think the biggest problem is that this particular Breath of the Wild's final boss feels short in comparison,
It is.
considering the different layers that used to be.
Well,
to
if
the
you
other
don't
boss.
if you don't do all the divine beasts, it ain't short. That thing's long.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's-
let's be real
It is
here.
what you make it. You know, it's just.
I
Yeah.
know,
Like
but
I
I'm saying,
said-
I'm saying, but like a standard player is gonna at least do that much.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't.
Like a standard player,
I think
if
maybe
you're
a
told-
hardcore Zelda fan would. I don't know if the standard.
If you want it to be tougher, it's easy.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
go to the plateau and get some of the weapons that are those low levels. Equip them and have your starting gear on, and that's going to
Yeah.
be.
And turn off all
Nearly
those
impossible.
abilities. that
And
you
again,
went
yeah,
to the friends.
that's a very Dark Souls element too. Dark Souls does that kind of stuff too, which is really cool. I think the battle was great, and I think what the final villain is and how you fight it is awesome. I definitely love that. But
Yeah, it was
like
awesome.
I don't remember now if it was Terrell or Robert, but whoever compared it to Twilight Princess. I think it was you, Robert, compared it to Twilight
Yeah.
Princess. Like, I think the Twilight Princess, everything about the finale, I think was better. I really do. Like, I don't think the game was better by a long shot, but I think I liked all the phases of that game's Ganon. I liked who that Ganon was. That's the big thing.
The
Think of
thing-
that Ganon. That's
The thing I
what
hated about Twilight Princess, and I hated that, is that they created this really cool villain, this really cool
I was
world.
gonna say
Everything
that.
was so original. And then in the last 5 minutes, it still felt the need to still toss Ganon in there, and I hated that.
It
Oh,
felt
you
like
that's
know,
always
because it was
disjointed.
Ganon and not Zant. Is that
That
what you
always
mean?
been a
Yeah.
pet peeve of mine
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I would
I
agree with
agree.
that. It's just been 10 years now, so I guess I've kind of forgotten about that problem because
I
I
will
felt
never
the
forget
same way
about it. I'm
too.
really sorry.
I remember being.
That's one of the things that turned me off with Twilight Princess.
But that Ganon
100%.
was great, though.
He was,
I mean,
but I'm like out of nowhere. You know, you've been dealing with running from Zant this whole time, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, now it's just Ganon. It's been Ganon, and
it's true, and I remember that it hurt even more because I still remember the 2006 playing this game in the first month it first came out on my Wii. That scene, I think it was after the third temple, the water temple, when Zant meets you in the woods, and
Yeah.
like the bottom of his mask comes down and his mouth is all creepy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was just like a really well-directed scene that you don't typically see in a Zelda game. And I was like, jizz in my pants. Like, this is incredible. This guy's evil as fuck, man. And then it became,
Hell,
yeah.
Zelda's done that before though, where the villain was somebody else, and all of a sudden it was Ganon. I think
Yeah.
Link to the Past.
Well,
kinda
I've
like
heard
that.
Twilight Princess has the most weird responses because people, like when it came to the whole Zant stuff, I know people were like cool with Zant up until he like lost his fucking mind.
Well,
and
he becomes kind of goofy. Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of people I heard weren't fans of that, and then they were even more offended when it was like, oh, well, there's Ganon out of nowhere, and people
Yeah.
were like,
Well, Ganon, and in that game, the reveal of Ganon happens before Zant goes crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they give
you
you.
see, you see him beforehand, but you don't
Yeah.
actually. But he doesn't become a part of the actual story until
I will say this
after
though.
he beats Zant.
Luckily, we've all, except for Terrell, we've all recently played through Twilight Princess again. As much as it kind of sucked that they brought Ganon into it, like, do you guys remember that movie that plays that reveals Ganon was really freaking cool? Like where he's chained to the thing, remember? And they
Oh,
they
yeah,
seal him
yeah.
away in that.
As soon as you put the mirror together, I think you get that cutscene.
Yeah, it was after the Arbiter's Ground, the desert area, right?
Mhm.
Wasn't that the one? Once
Yeah.
you finish that.
Well,
that-
that's where you discover the mirror, but once you get all the pieces and you put it together, I think you get
yeah,
that
that's
story.
right. That's right. And that's why maybe that's also part of the reason I gave it a pass. I was definitely like, wow, Ganon's in this, but he looks awesome. And then that first movie, I was like, well, that was badass.
Mhm.
Like, so I was like, okay, well, I guess it's Ganon this time again. So okay.
Yeah, I remember that being a thing. I was like, yeah, oh, it's just Ganon again. You know, it's like they set us up. And I will say, like, when did Twilight Princess HD? 2016? Was that when that came out?
8 to Wii U
Really?
version? Yeah, that was last
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
I mean, go listen to the podcast, search for it. I was trying to sound more excited about it, but I really, because that was after I played Xenoblade and I was really into Xenoblade, I was like questioning my Zelda fanhood to myself a few times. And
Listen to this guy.
I never really like the Twilight Princess HD just reminded me like that, yeah, you know, it was good, but it wasn't nearly as good as I remembered. And I liked Wind Waker better
Well,
initially.
You know
But
the
I
funny
did.
thing. The funny thing is like after I beat Zelda, I beat Breath of the Wild. I started looking up a few videos of critical analysis of how people felt about the game because you know Zelda getting 9s and 10s is pretty standard for the most part. It's nothing really new. So I wanted to see what some people who really wanted to spend like an hour and a half dissecting Breath of the Wild really said. And the one thing I kept seeing is that a lot of people because a lot of people argue that this game has a good number of problems. Breath of the Wild's biggest people say the battle system is broken and the shrine quality is all over the place.
How's the battle system broken? It's
Because it's
Beautiful.
primarily
Because the weapons break.
No,
Yeah,
no,
that's broken.
no.
And I do take
They
issue with
proved
that
it.
still.
No, they proved in the video. The biggest thing they noticed is the flurry rush is not based on whether you dodge the attack. It's based on whether you hit the dodge button while an attack animation is running. Which unfortunately
I mean,
creates.
I don't even know what
I
you
don't
just
see how
said.
that's- I don't see how that's-
It's one of those situations where you don't have to be near the enemy to dodge their technique. In order
Oh
for you
yes, that's true. That's true.
to activate
Yep.
the flurry rush, and people are going, well,
You can't be like 50 feet away though, can you?
Yeah,
You
oh,
can
you
attack
know,
them.
you can be pretty. You can be a decent
I mean, you
ways
can-
away.
You can do it to an arrow and like or
No, I mean like I'm talking about like if you fought like one of the forms of Ganon or even certain enemies. If let's say they throw their weapon at you, like they throw the Bokoblin club at you, you could already be out of the way and dodge even further out of the way, and it would
Yeah,
activate
that's
the
true.
flurry rush.
But
I
then
will say
it
the
would draw
very
you
last-
in and
Yeah, the very last Lionel I fought before, I remember that because it was the last one I fought before I beat the game. Well, I think I died the first time, and then when I was doing him the second time, you know when they do the charge rush when they get on all
Mhm.
fours?
Yeah,
I ended up by accident flurry rushing right when he knelt down. And I was probably like 20 or 30 feet away
Okay.
from him. Yeah.
yeah, but the attack animations in Breath of the Wild is just based. It's the
I
flurry
will
rush
say
is
it didn't
literally
bother
based.
me. I was happy.
It's not like overly offensive, but
Yeah.
people just mention that it's an element of the game that's inherently broken, which means you're not really rewarded on
Well, I don't
dodging.
know about broken. Damn.
Well, when I say
you
broke,
can't-
because
because like
here's
you
why-
can't just do it like hey, I could do this all the time. Like so, you still gotta.
well, the reason why people say it's broken because it doesn't promote you actually dodging the attack. It promotes you just knowing to hit the dodge button during an attack animation, not necessarily dodging the opponent's attack, which then creates situations where you could dodge and end up getting hurt. Granted, this was based off of me watching. They had footage of it where like
yeah, you
They-
probably have to try. Like 200 hours in, and that I never experienced that. But once you know about it, I guess you could try to exploit it. But then that's just you're
your
deciding
decision,
to try to exploit that instead of just.
But you can do it pretty much every game.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
acknowledge it exists, but I really don't think it's a problem. And I mean, but it's interesting. I mean, I just like to hear, like, Terrell, for example, you're like a medium level Zelda fan, maybe even lower than that.
Yeah,
I like
we're
that-
pretty low tier.
Yeah, and I like that you went out of your way to like research and gain more knowledge and like, you know, experience other opinions about it. I think that was really
Well, the
cool.
Triple
yeah,
J Zoo.
interesting.
Let me get in real quick. Triple
Yeah.
J Zoo wants to know: is that the dude that was complaining that the battle mechanics weren't like Skyrim?
No,
I
it
don't
wouldn't.
know. That's
No, it
stupid.
wasn't.
'Cause
There's
he's-
no. I know who he's talking about, but that's not the
not
same
him.
guy. And then the guy and his other complaint was about how the shrines all vary. The quality of the shrines
That's a
are all over
design
the place.
choice. That's
Yeah.
that's a weird.
Yeah, you don't want
Well,
everyone
I
to be
think-
this epic, like make you have to think beyond. You know, I mean, they had to make them some that
Well,
were
I think
easier,
his
some that
argument
were
was
harder.
more. His argument was because of how Nintendo's philosophy is about introducing a concept, introducing a variation, and then giving you like a final test of it. And only like some of the dungeons do that. Most people say that the trials of strength, all those are just automatic fails because there's no real variation between them.
What, dude? Those were my favorites when I saw
are
those.
those the
I
Which
like-
is weird because everyone else I keep saying hearing doesn't like them at
Well,
all.
You
Well,
might
that,
not like
that
them
might be
once
the
you
minor,
get.
that might be the loud minority though. Like, there's 2 million people that bought the game. I mean, more
yeah,
than
that's
And what
true.
happens when you get to the major test of strength and you had 7 hearts like I did, and I still using all my food items and all my
Using
weapons I
everything
had
to
and still
get through
beat
that
that
thing.
son of a bitch, and it was one of
That's
the
why
highlights.
I don't
Yeah.
like those. They use up too many resources, man.
It was one of the highlights of the whole
Rob's a
time.
hoarder, a weapon
I
hoarder.
am a hoarder, man. Resident Evil did it to me.
But
Well, I think-
later on, it was just like, oh, I know I can beat this guy. I know it's routine.
Well, I think that because that's what they were getting to. The overarching point was how the difficulty isn't really scalable. Like you could, depending on the order of how you do things, which is all up to chance. And honestly, to be fair, you know, Nintendo wasn't gonna be able to handle every situation.
Yeah,
their
because
argument-
first
their
one I
argument
did
is
was
more-
major.
Yeah.
And then the next one was easy. It was the minor test of strength.
The
So I
problem
mean,
is that it eventually creates a situation that you could get maxed out or get like really good at the game really early, which makes the rest of the game not as challenging.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
how
this is
many?
how you're supposed to feel progress. I don't understand.
Yeah.
100
No, it's one of those
that's
things. where-
to me that's some very nitpicking that applies to almost every game in existence.
Yeah,
Unless
like-
it's like a completely linear game where they
Well, but think
No.
about what's happening is Zelda is so good and has such good reviews. It's people picking apart the finer
Now,
details.
now it's time you got to break it down. Now
Yeah.
it's
It happened
past,
with the
it's
last
past the
one came out,
honeymoon.
too.
Now we got to start.
I actually like
Well,
Well,
Yeah,
I think it's just people like, okay, what about the next game or improvements to the system?
And
And
I'll,
those are things I can easily say need to be improved because
Oh,
I
I
mean,
hope they improve some stuff for
So
sure.
I
I'm
don't-
sure
I
they
don't-
will.
I don't mind the nitpicking as long as it's not like you just grabbing shit out of thin air. Like some people are like, oh, I just don't like the way how big the world is. Like, because I think everybody because these are the people who said that their 2 favorite games in the series currently is this game and Twilight Princess. Because people love the dungeons in Twilight Princess.
they are great.
That was one of my favorite things in 12.
And I think that seems to be the biggest comparison. They love how the world is set up and built in Breath of the Wild, but they love the dungeons in Twilight Princess and wish the dungeons in Breath of the Wild were better.
You know what's funny?
I don't know,
I've said
I-
it before. I'm all about the dungeons. My favorite part of Zelda. And I was
Mhm.
talking with this with my fiance because she agrees. She also likes the dungeons best. And we were talking about the dungeons. And Twilight Princess is the only game I can't remember a single
I
fucking
can't
dungeon.
remember.
of.
All I remember is the metal
Really?
boots one that
Wow,
was
that's-
tedious.
I remember the prison because I liked the idea that it was a prison, and that's
Oh,
it.
that's in the beginning
I
too.
don't remember
Yeah.
the prison.
The prison is when Midna breaks you out. Is that what you mean? When you're
no, it's the one.
a wolf?
In the desert. There's a Gerudo desert.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Go on
There's
that
something that
spinner
used to
thing.
be a prison, and where you get the spinner weapon. But
Yeah,
apart from that,
that's awesome.
I don't remember. And my most hated Zelda is
Sky-
Skyward Sword, and it has the
No.
best dungeons of the series.
I love Skyward Sword. So
I don't
much.
hate any of them, but Twilight Princess HD put the Twilight Princess game down lower than it was before the HD version. I don't know why. It just
Because he was
It
coasting
felt-
on nostalgia, and then you.
'Cause you were a hater.
It just felt like they really that was the Ocarina of Time engine basically to a T with better graphics. Like they didn't fix
Yeah.
the animations were all the same, the moves were all the same, except
But,
for they added some new
it
ones.
still worked for 2006, and when they had
Yeah.
the remake, and that's I mean I
But
I've
even
had to bring
then,
it up a
dude,
couple
I was
times.
playing Shadow of the Colossus before Twilight Princess came out, and I was so mad that they didn't copy the horse mechanics or how you navigate in that game, and had no load times and stuff. I was so bummed when Twilight Princess came out, and I realized they didn't move it forward. It didn't feel like a next gen Zelda to me at the time. And I like Skyward Sword. I don't ever really want to go through certain areas ever again in my life. Some of those were just so tedious. The whole the stones that would be like time stones, and there's that whole.
Oh, I
some
love
of it
that.
was really cool, and some of it
Yeah.
was really
I hated
tedious.
the teardrop thing the most. That was the thing that bothered me.
Yeah, and the teardrops.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
would
like,
say to me the worst example of that, and I freaking love Skyward Sword so much, but the worst part is when you had to do the swimming section, where the is it the Elden Woods or whatever fills up with water at the end, and you had to swim. That was the only thing I was like, this is just this is bad.
No.
But everything else is so great. I'm like, I don't
You
care.
guys were talking about the teardrops of Skyward Sword. I thought you meant Twilight Princess. I actually like it in Skyward Sword, that stuff.
I think it's better than Skyward. I will agree with that.
I just kept on, I'm getting close to the end, and then I just felt like it was just busy work. You know, it's just,
Because in Twilight Princess, the reason I hate it is, okay, you start the game. You have a fucking 20-hour tutorial. You talk with so many people. Then you start the game, but you become this wolf for half the game. You're Link for a little bit of the time. And then when you are Link for the 5% you're playing Twilight Princess, you're running in this empty world, and it's there's way too much shit around.
That's what I hated about Majora's Mask. You get down there and you're this damn Deku scrub. I'm like, no.
Yeah. But that game was also so good, though.
I mean, it's a good game. Don't take, I'm not taking anything away from it, but that's one of the things that keeps it away from Ocarina of Time for me. It's just that that Deku scrub part was just annoying.
I agree with you.
I hated it. He was ugly.
My worst was the damn Goron where you had to roll through.
Trying to control that Goron when you're rolling.
Yeah,
Good
it was
luck.
impossible.
Good luck.
Finally did it, but anyway, I've enjoyed every Zelda game for the time they came out, and it's just thinking back on some of them, I have less fond memories of certain areas, and like with Retro Death, I barely remember. I just played the HD Twilight Princess not even barely a year ago, and I still don't remember any of the dungeons other than walking.
I can name every dungeon in that game, and it's definitely not even my favorite Zelda.
Good dungeons, really good dungeons.
Yeah,
but
and a good world.
Terrible,
and they told a good story.
I didn't care for the piss filter world.
And the design of the characters, some of those faces were just.
Oh boy.
I don't know what they were doing there.
It's weird though, but going back to Breath of the Wild, it's still one of those games where it's like it's such a 10 out of 10 for me, and it really still might be the best game I ever played. Like it's right up there, knocking on the door of like Metroid Prime and Wind Waker and stuff for me. But there are imperfections and there are problems, and so that's why, like Terrell, when you talk about the guy who's talking about some of the things, like I appreciate the conversation. I don't necessarily agree with those ones he brought up, but I think that
I understand.
I do think there are things where it's like, do this better. And
every Zelda has that one thing.
Do what?
Like,
but I'm about to say
that one thing. Wind Waker had that damn Triforce chase at the end. Like, come on. Like, I'm ready to go fight. You tell me you should go.
Well, some people hated the sailing and stuff too.
And you had to change the wind every time with the
wind,
the song.
Waiting on that, like.
With Wind Waker, it's funny with the wind. I think it took me 20 hours in game till I noticed you could actually change the wind in 8 directions.
Oh man!
Then you change
real slow at some points.
Then by the time you did the song, you're like, oh shit, which direction did I need to go? And you put it there.
Or
like,
the fishing with the boat.
You had to feed that one dude to get information or unlock the map.
Yeah, there was a fish outside of everything.
And it was it was way
still
better.
Love that game to death.
The HD version was so much better when you could just turn. The wind would turn when you turn. So that seems like cheating, but it made that game infinitely better for me. That's
opinion. One of those ones where I think it's fair to say at the time it wasn't a big deal, and everyone was so impressed by that game. And that's how they updated it to make it timeless. That's like a smart thing.
Wind Waker was on the low end for me until the HD version. Even from the first day I played it.
Really?
Oh my
got
God.
frustrated with.
It's one of my favorites.
I love that game.
As-
through and through.
Which is-
Yep.
Yeah,
But the
'cause-
HD version now is like one of my favorite, below Breath of the Wild. Like it's crazy.
Because
how
Wind
it
Waker really started doing more so than the games before that, really bringing the physics into Zelda with the weapons and the fire and the fact that I was playing Wind Waker and you were in this dungeon and I'm like, holy shit, this is wood. What do I do? And I was like, I'll try to burn it. There's a torch here, and that worked, and that blew my mind.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to
Yeah.
get this below this bridge. I'm like, what do I do? I can't walk off this bridge. You can either cut it with the sword or you can light it on fire. It was just like,
That was just great. Man.
Well, that's I mean, and beyond that too, like is that's really when I think we saw Nintendo start to toy with making a living, breathing world for Zelda.
and the AI was pretty funny even back then. It was not.
Yep.
I mean, Breath of the Wild takes it to the
Well,
10th
and I
degree,
think that's
but
why there's so many, and I didn't see a lot of people talking about this, but there are a lot of callbacks to Wind Waker in Breath of the Wild. It's all
we talked
over,
about it, didn't we?
especially
The
the
music.
music. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like that's on purpose. Like I don't know, has there been any confirmation on the timeline? What's going on with that? I don't know.
none that I've
No.
heard.
Because I really wonder if
I don't
if
think
it's-
Nintendo knows at this point.
This just feels like let's throw elements from every game, even if it's just the name of an island or a name of an area.
I mean, it has to be after. If you know you're gonna adhere to the timeline, it's at least after Twilight Princess, right? Like, because it has.
You think?
I would think.
It's
because
definitely
of
after
the-
Skyward Sword.
It's
That
definitely
one-
obviously it's after Skyward Sword, and it's definitely after Ocarina of Time, because we have the ranch ruins.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
Did anybody
it's-
else find a journal that actually talks about Tingle? That Tingle is living in the world somewhere.
No.
What? No.
There's
no,
a journal, and
you kidding?
and I'm swear it has to be Tingle. There's a journal in the Gerudo city, in one of the houses, and it says like you can read about 3 game mechanics, and one of them says like I'm a 35-year-old man and I'm still waiting for my ferry.
Oh, I did hear about that.
Really?
Yeah, I heard about
Wow.
that. Yeah,
That's incredible. That's
Hmm.
I
So
love that
good.
so much.
I didn't
That
see it
was
myself, but I heard
ridiculous,
about it.
Yeah.
I was very happy when Tingle Island just wasn't an empty island. There was actually something there.
Yeah.
worth going to.
I know I went there, but I can't remember what was there.
All the islands have stuff, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Couple. I mean, I think Rob you posted a picture like the narrow wooden bridge, like I don't know, a while
yeah.
back, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I hadn't gone to Tingle Island yet, and I'm like, all these islands are way off the water on the map. I just figured they were just like beaches, and these
Yeah.
things are towering over the water, and all
Towering.
connected with these
Yeah.
narrow bridges, and I'm
Freaking
like,
awesome.
They're not little islands. They are
I
towering.
went there like way after, like probably 30 hours after I beat the game the first time.
Wow.
And I was like, on my shrine hunt, and I'm like, this whole area is so cool. And it's like, why didn't I go here before? Why did I even look? I didn't even look that way and never see that those islands were all connected with those little wooden bridges and stuff. And it was,
Yeah.
God, it was so cool over there.
Yeah, that was a really, really cool area.
And then the Kala region with all the different colored leaves, the yellows, the oranges, and reds.
Fall.
That looks so gorgeous. Like every time I go there in the daytime, it's just like, man, screenshot.
yeah, you are the screenshot king. It's really
I got
impressive.
700 screenshots now on my Switch.
I'm not surprised.
Over 100 for Mario Kart, which I never expected. But yeah, it was just. I mean, for me, it's the game of a lifetime. I don't know what they could do next. I don't know what another game could do to.
Dude, the next Zelda's so far away at this point, man.
Yeah, I've
they're
never
not going to be ready to do that again.
Well, they're probably gonna have one of those like
Just rock that engine out and do some,
Mhm.
do some Majora's Mask like thing.
Yeah.
And they'd have to like
possible.
change. You'd have to play you couldn't just play in the same exact environment
Yeah, right.
for like a new game. They could do that for DLC, but there's you looking north of Death Mountain, you see these huge green plateau of grassy fields, on those cliffs you can't get to, and it's like, will they?
Well, there were some major differences from like the demo stuff to even now, like as far as the landscape goes,
Mhm.
and hasn't been that long. That wasn't, we're talking
No,
about maybe
they
a
could-
year.
They could completely change the landscape
Yeah.
and
Go back to Terminator or some shit.
Yeah.
you know?
It'll be interesting, but yeah, I mean, they announced I don't know if it was official. The cell phone game.
Yeah, the
was
mo-
the-
I think that's
No,
a
it's
rumor. Right
rumor.
now.
It's
Okay.
rumor.
Yeah, we don't talk about rumors anymore because there's no reason to, because there's always stuff to talk about. And but yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll wrap this up. But you know, this will be Rob's last one for at least for a while.
Last hurrah,
as an
yeah.
official. The next time you're on, you're probably just going to be a special guest. So
It's gonna be weird,
Um,
man.
I don't
I
know.
feel like we should have played
You
a
want to
game.
do anything for the final thoughts different? I know Retro, you said you had something you wanted to tell
Yeah,
Rob.
I just want to, because when you asked me yesterday if I wanted to come on or not, I was like, oh man, like Rob's gonna be there, so I really wanted to be there because I know I always we were talking about like when we didn't know why he left and stuff. It was always I
Mhm.
think I said because of the schedule and everything, and I just always because I know that Rob sometimes brings it up where he thinks when people think it's a negative thing that you talk so much. That is one of the reasons, seriously, that I love you and I love watching your channel and your stuff. I love it that how respectful you are and how much you talk to people and how you don't just talk but you listen to people and you take everybody's opinions into account. And I'm just gonna miss not having you in on a weekly, but it's already less
Dude.
depressive I feel than it was because you're not actually leaving. You just you need a bit more time and
Yeah,
it makes me feel
yeah.
pretty good about it.
Well, cool, dude. Thank you so much, man. That is an incredibly nice compliment to hear. And I do joke about I know I'm long-winded, and I assume it bothers the shit out of people. But you know, people watch my videos, so I guess that kind of works.
Watch
to a
my
degree.
juice opinions, and you'll see who's the long-winded one.
Yeah, I noticed your last couple have been really
Fuck.
long. Which, yeah.
Even when I think I'm going, I think I'm like,
just sitting there all of a sudden. Fuck!
I look at the time.
Disgusted with
Once
himself.
it uploads, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That felt like 15 minutes. It was 45.
Yeah.
45 minutes. Like,
I'm like, no one wants to watch this. Like for
Dude,
that
we
long.
do want to watch it.
Juice like that.
Oh,
like,
Terrell, you're
not
breaking
much.
up.
Fuck me!
Terrell, that's bad.
It's pretty bad, bro.
As long as you're not,
It's like
Yeah,
as long
that's
as you're
what it
like,
sounds
you know, making
I'm muting.
solid points and you're like, you can tell that you're actually thinking and it's just blurting crap
Yeah,
out,
I
reacting.
understand.
Then people like that. People like
But
to
they gotta
listen to it.
like you gotta have time in your life to for 40 minutes. I mean, it's good when you can do something like if you could mow your lawn or if you're working on something like that. But and a lot of people say, well, I just listen while I'm playing like Mario Kart or something. And
Yeah,
so
you can
that's
do that. Like
That's the way.
I do
Yeah,
it
and
on
I'll-
road trips.
But-
When I'm going, I go for a jog. I'll pop in, you know, in the iPod, and we're good to go.
So I don't know, Rob, you know, your video's been 15 to 20 under 15 minutes or between 10 and 15 minutes lately. And it's like, man, I'd like to be able to do that. But then also people expect a live stream. Like
Yeah.
somebody joins like, and they're expecting like an hour-long live stream, you know, and so people have different. That's why
I
when
would
you do
say-
it pre-recorded, it's a totally different
It
expectation.
is a totally different thing. And I'll say, like, to build on what T was saying too, I think one of the best things about if you make live videos and what I've told, or long videos, and what I've told myself is like, you know, most topics, I just think that there's a lot of times more to say than 2 or 3 minutes worth of anything.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
there's a lot to break down with stuff if you care about it. And like if your juice opinions are getting longer, to me that just tells me that you have those thoughts and you want to talk about them. And if you just don't worry about that, because I mean, like a year ago, I was like, I gotta start making my videos shorter, and I realized I couldn't do it, so I just stopped caring, and I just talk for as long as I'm having fun talking about the topic, and people still care and watch. And I think that it's the same thing with you. Like if you just talk as long as you're passionate about what you're talking about, that means the conversation's good and people will care about it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the most important thing. So
I always look
Yeah.
back to Twilight Bites. So he could say so much in 8 minutes. And I mean, he never was consistent with his channels, and he always delete them, create new ones. He just wasn't all in with the YouTube thing. But he could break down a topic in an 9 minute video and say so many good things. And I'm just like, I was always like trying to get to that, but I was like, I can't.
it's a skill some people have, man, and I think you and I don't have it.
Mhm.
We
But-
do not have it.
Yeah,
But
like
again,
how,
thank you so much, Retro. Like that really was cool, dude, for you to say that, and it really feels good.
yeah, I think
thank
we'll probably lose some viewers because when you were gone for a
Nah.
couple weeks, people are like, "Where's Rob? Where's Rob?" So
Yeah.
Oh, man,
and I
hope
won't
that doesn't
be
happen.
offended. Like I can
Yeah.
understand if someone's came from your channel and just wants, you know, maybe the rest of us.
It happens. It's
Yeah,
normal.
but everyone is the conversations is the group. So
But if you
I
come
bet
to-
that won't happen.
But if you come to a podcast because of one person, like you know, I listen to you, and you say, "Oh, check out our podcast." I'm going there because of you. Like if you're not there, then I don't know if I'm gonna be there.
Yeah,
I
because
get that.
It's
I
natural.
get
no
you know?
offense to Real Gamer, but when T's there, I listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah,
I
it's
get
not.
it. I get it.
Yeah, it's just a natural thing. That's normal.
It's the opposite for me actually. Like I love the Juices Loose because I love everybody in there, and like I love the like it's my favorite character of the show, you know. But
Oh, yeah.
I cannot
He is
watch
king.
other podcasts just because he is in there because I just can't stand most of the other people. For example, I can't do that. I love.
I come in and I bring balance to the force.
Yeah, you are the chosen one.
So basically, Retro just said he can't stand us other than T.
Just
Well,
one.
at least now we know.
Oh, you're still breaking
Oh,
up, man.
Damn it, Terrell.
Oh, that's not helping, bro.
Yeah, you better get it set up right.
Are you on fire? What's
Oh
happening?
my god.
Yeah, get it fixed. But if we're kind of like the Avengers, I think, in a way, because
Well, then I'm Iron Man.
Well,
call
no,
Iron Man.
why can't it be the Guardians of the Galaxy? I
other
wanna be-
than
Nah.
you know
I'm
a
Rocket
couple of
Raccoon.
us that have more subs, it's still, I think we're as a whole just consistently seem to get, well, you know, the 2T and Robbie, you have bigger channels, but it seems like as a whole we do really well. And I think individual videos sometimes for some of us it's less, and I understand that because I think these are why I still have my channel. I don't know if I still would without the podcast. So
Mhm.
just to discuss, you know, having the conversation, I don't care. Like if we wanted to move it to somebody else's channel, it wouldn't even bother me as long as we still do them and still, you know, have these conversations.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. But
I was wondering.
Personalities bring stuff out of other people. You know, a certain personality brings.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I do my channel. It's like a side thing for me because I obviously I have a career and a band, and somehow I have this freaking YouTube channel I do.
I feel
But
you.
like, yeah, but it's great because I get to do it and just talk by myself to get other people talking about things. But I love doing this because it's talking with you guys. It's like I also get to have the back and forth that I don't have with the channel. And
Yeah, I
that is
started
so
with-
valuable.
Because you brought it up. Is anything on your own channel going to change? Are you keep doing what you do on your own channel?
Me? You asking me?
Yeah, you.
Oh yeah, no, that's the same. I mean, that's the same. The beauty is like that I do in my own time.
You can do whenever.
The hard
you know, it's
thing
not a
with
schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, the hard thing with the Juices Loose is just the Monday at 4 p.m. is just going to be really hard, man. Like, I mean, I had to make it so I could do it this week. 2 weeks ago, I had to make it so I could do it then. And, you know, I'm still going to have the occasional Monday where I will be like home and probably could do it, but it's going to be really occasional. So I mean, my channel's fine because I just record that whenever I want, and I just edit it whenever I want. So that's the beauty there. But Monday at 4 p.m. for at least probably the whole summer for a good several months is going to be just.
Yeah,
really
I get it
hard.
because I'm like, damn. Looking at it from Monday 4 p.m. Eastern time for me,
Yeah, I
I wouldn't
wouldn't-
be in this
yeah.
podcast at all. Sorry, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. And,
So-
like, again, the latest I would ever work with the occasion of a weekend day, I would still be home by 7. But my
Yeah.
7 is y'all's 10, and well,
Right.
not for you, Retro, but for everyone else,
Mhm.
it's 10 o'clock at night. So it's just that's the difference. So
Right.
it is what it is. you
I
know?
And there was always, it didn't help when you moved 1 hour further west, you know.
That is
before.
true.
In
Yeah,
Denver,
in Denver.
only
it was
2
See, why
hours.
you do that? Why you do that?
I know, I'm a jerk.
Maybe you'll move out east someday. You never know.
Or
No,
maybe we
no,
need to
it's-
move to the west.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
No,
All
thanks.
you guys need to come out here.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been further west than Colorado, so I can't say, but
Yeah.
I like having 4 seasons. So as long as the area has all 4 seasons, then I'll probably be all right. But
I mean, my area definitely does. That's for sure. So
all right. So Terrell, your mic working?
Testing.
Yep.
yep.
See, I'm fucking mad, man.
You sound good though.
But
Yeah.
I was gonna say too, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna have a permanent 5th person, or if we're just gonna go 4 and then occasionally have 5, because it started with 4, and then when Rob's cleared your schedules, then we added the 5th. So just
Mhm.
for anybody listening, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. Retro definitely gonna be here a lot more.
It's a good
I don't know.
replacement. I'm glad for that too.
Yeah, and that's definitely brings a completely different perspective from a different country, and he's a little harder on some of our favorite, like Metroid 2, Metroid Prime 2, for example. So
What? That's a great game.
I'm kind of sad now that Rob is leaving that we never got into some kind of Metroid discussion.
Ah,
we'll have to do
Well,
that someday.
if-
But
if it happens at E3, man, like I'm sure, especially if we can do like a special like random.
Yeah,
day
we probably do.
podcast.
I got that whole week off. I don't know about anybody else. We could.
I've got like 3 or 4 days off, so that might
Yeah.
I'll
actually
be
work.
in LA, so
What week is that?
Oh, that's true.
the 16th is the Friday. It ends that week, so it's 12.
I mean, and
16th.
I'm
Robert-
off that whole week because my
Oh,
birthday
I
is
have
the
a-
16th.
I'm going to a Yankees game on the 11th. What day is that?
Sunday.
The
It's
Yankees
a
game.
Tuesday.
Sunday.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Is it?
Wait.
Tuesday? No, 16th is Friday.
16th
so
is
it's
Friday, so it has to be
Friday.
Sunday.
No, it's some
Sunday.
other day.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
Sunday is when it kicks off, though, right?
Yeah, Microsoft does it
Yeah.
Sunday.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, so you're not
Yeah.
missing much.
I'm just joking. I'm
And
just joking.
Sony, I think
Microsoft.
Sony-
No, come on, man, you're not missing much.
And
I think
Nintendo's
Sony too.
Nintendo going to be at noon our time, Eastern time.
Yeah.
So-
Sweet.
And Sony's will probably be that Monday night again, like they always do. So we'll have to
my
see.
night, yeah.
I don't know if Microsoft will have enough to have their own little post E3 podcast, but we'll start doing the predictions and stuff. Maybe even next week. I don't know. I haven't really laid out I haven't looked at how many weeks are left.
We got like a month, like a little bit under a month.
Yeah, I think that's
3 weeks,
like
3 podcasts.
4 weeks.
I
But
got to
yeah,
see how
if-
the Mondays line up
If
before.
there's a surprise Metroid announcement, then
Yeah.
that would be a good reason to talk.
'Cause I'm
Metroid like
thinking-
crazy.
As soon as that, well, maybe after the treehouse stuff, and it gets, we'll see what they're doing. I don't want to do it during the treehouse.
So maybe that night.
Yeah, maybe like 5-6 on that Tuesday. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that's a ways off. So let's do some final thoughts. And anybody want to take one last shot at Rob? Now's your time.
Oh man,
We will always miss you.
So
Rob.
yeah, Robert,
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Robert, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Rob, it's been a good time.
This is so weird.
It's not like I'm
so
getting
weird.
He's not dying,
Yeah,
guys.
he's not really even going anywhere.
What the fuck is happening?
Hey, Robert and I have a connection, man. We got to bro out for a weekend. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it a good time then? Too?
Well, you are his
Yeah.
future self. That's what it is.
It's true. Enjoy your hair while you got
Hopefully
it.
he can find himself. Robert, hopefully you find yourself an Emily.
Yes.
Oh.
Everyone should find themselves an Emily.
Is Robert
Star
even worried
Wars.
about that? I don't even know if Robert's looking for that right now.
He's looking.
How do you know,
Because
Juice?
Because we were 18 before. That's how.
I like
I
how
was 18.
Your
Yeah.
Lloyd's is on fire.
He was 18, 20 years ago.
Looking, you know.
Yeah, he's looking.
But you know, it's been a good time. As a group.
This is so stupid.
But good things must end. And
Come on, he's not.
All right, Robert, you're done.
have a
You're
good
dead,
time.
sucker.
All right, Terrell, you want to follow that?
Hey, man, I'll see you later. That's
Sounds good.
Look. I appreciate the multiple conversations we had. It's weird because you started this whole podcast thing where you were very sporadic in the beginning,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and then the
Full
schedule changed,
circle.
and you became consistent again. So this is just like another part of the cycle. You're just following the pattern again. You'll be sporadic for like another 2 or 3 months, and then
Yep.
we'll start hanging out again for like.
And you'll be permanent.
Well,
That's
yeah.
definitely what I hope. That's definitely what I hope.
And I never expect everyone to be here every week. I'm really been shocked and pleasantly surprised that you guys have consistently been able to make it. I mean, other than a few times, and it's just crazy that we still do these every week. And it's like,
We enjoy each other's company, man.
I know
It's
like,
really
I
true.
make time
Yeah.
to come to this thing.
I look
Sometimes I
forward
should be
to
doing
it.
something else, but I make time to come in because I have so much fun with you guys. So
Mhm.
yeah. So
That's
let's kiss each other's asses.
That's
Tell
the
each other
highlight
how
of the
great you
podcast.
get your lip gloss ready.
Listen, wait, as long I don't want no, it better not be that sparkling shit. I don't need that on my mouth. That's anyways, this is besides the point. Good podcast. Rob, I look forward to seeing you as a special guest or as a consistent guy later on in the future.
Yeah, man.
And we still have the younger model here, so we're still covered on our Rob. Our Rob quota is still in, so we're good. And even though I didn't really get to talk, I didn't talk that much this podcast. Yeah, it was still fun. So life's a gameplay to win.
All right, and maybe next week we can get an update on your Persona 5. See if you're still playing it.
I was playing it today at work, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm still playing
At
it.
work.
Yeah, well,
PS4 remote play. That's the last thing. Shout out the PS4 remote play. That shit is
You
great.
get Wi-Fi, right, or something like that?
No, you hook it up. You download the app to your computer and you hook up your PS4
to your
controller.
computer.
Yeah, and you hook it up. To your,
Oh, I get you.
yeah.
PS4 on the go.
come on, man! You had a PlayStation 4 longer than me. You should know this.
You know
Yeah, I don't
these
do
things,
that
man.
trash now.
Nice.
Well, his computer's next.
I can't take it on the go with me.
His computer's next to his PS4, so it wouldn't make much sense.
Oh no, it wouldn't.
All right, T and Cold Dark just said podcasting from your mom's toilet was epic.
That was see? Only on the Juices Loose will you get that. Rob, we'll talk to you later. We'll have an open Google Hangout all the time, so we talk
man.
all the time.
Mhm.
Obviously, this is something you can't avoid, and we'll miss you, but I'm sure you'll be back. So
That is the plan.
Finds a way.
Life,
Sounds like a
life,
goddamn funeral. I
You
swear.
said that
you'll be back, and what you gonna do? You'll be back.
So you're saying that
Can we?
dinosaurs composed of only females will mate?
What?
What?
I got you.
I'm just saying.
Jurassic
I'm
Park.
so
though.
fucking
finds a way.
confused.
Life finds a way.
Finds a way.
Life finds a way.
I was so confused by that statement.
I forgot the exact phrasing, but I was
You-
close.
Scientists are
got
so
it pretty
preoccupied with
close.
whether or not they could. They didn't stop to think of whether or not they should.
Oh, just go bloom.
They left us.
Oh my god!
Is it
That's
heavy?
not what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do.
Welcome to the Quotes Podcast.
Is it heavy? Yes. Then it's expensive. Put
Then
it
it's
back.
yeah. Listen to this,
Everybody's
the
a
Jurassic
fucking.
podcast.
Everybody's a fucking.
Anybody got
Don't make
any
them like that
others?
anymore, man. Don't make them like that anymore.
Retro, you got one from Jurassic Park?
It's been way too long since I've watched that.
You got to rewatch. You got to revisit it, man.
Say
It's
the
a great
magic
movie.
word.
We go to movies, man. We go to movies at the end. You gotta start, brush up on your movies.
No, you just do what I do. You just take a fucking
Yeah,
go to sleep.
yeah. Terrell
I mean,
takes some
bro.
Valium at the end of every episode.
Well, hey man, don't be talking about my prescriptions on podcasts. Chill.
Anyway, Retro Death, final thoughts of T. I think you were done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Well, he is now.
Like I said, what I wanted to say about Rob. I'm gonna miss him because I don't have the same point of view as all of you who've been with him all this time. I've just been listening to him, and that's why I wanted to say that I love listening to him. But he's gonna make his own video, so I'm just gonna miss the interaction for a while. But it's like it's less depressive than I thought because he'll be back. He's like it'll always happen. So he'll be.
Unless the Juices Loose podcast gets a million subscribers and we're just too big and too cool for.
Oh yeah, okay. I see what's happening here. Now with me out of the picture, you can really start to.
Hey
grow.
man, look, his Juice Opinions is gonna start blowing up, man.
Yeah.
Rob, you can you can do a random live stream here and there.
Yeah, what I was thinking too is like if you can't make it, just have Emily come on because
Oh man, it's like that. It's got to be like that.
she's a cool girl. She likes Star Wars. I mean,
She likes a lot of good stuff.
we could find stuff to talk about.
Yeah. She
I
likes
used
a lot
to
of
have
games.
females on the podcast, but
Only one, wasn't it?
Female
Well, like,
Star
No, he had
It's a total sausage fest now.
because I only had,
Yeah.
I was only with
Coupon
Chelsea.
and
That was
Nia
it.
and
He had a few. Who
Sophie.
the fuck is coupon juice?
It would be
Shane
nice if there was.
Bowman.
If there was.
She's
more.
not like he talking about some
problem
mythical
is-
creatures.
And no offense.
Oh, here we go.
Man.
I know.
The
No,
one
let's,
that I
I'm
had-
not co-signing on this shit. I'm
let's
not.
keep it nice. Let's
I'm
keep
just
it.
gonna say, other than Nia,
I'm not
the ones that I had on were very casual gamers. That led to the
I wouldn't call
conversation.
Shelfie that casual though. I think
She was the only thing that changed my mind is she 3-starred all the cups in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which was pretty impressive. So
It's I don't know what you
But
guys.
for the most part, if you watched her video, like her favorite game, she wants HD ports, and it's like Pokemon
That's just an
Stadium.
opinion, though. I really think she's a pretty big gamer in general. I wouldn't call her a casual gamer.
Talking, like I said, a little more
I'm
casual.
not, I'm not co-signing on any of this shit. All right.
I'm just saying. If there's a hardcore, I hate using that term, but a gamer, like a legit, serious gamer, that wants to come on, I'd have that person on. So
I will say though, I don't know about you guys, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the cups were way easier than an 8.
well, it's
Like,
because you know the tracks already.
they?
You didn't have to learn the
but
tracks.
no,
Are the cups easier?
I think you know why. I think the huge reason also
items.
is the 2 items. Yeah.
Well, I get the super horn. I bet I've destroyed close to 30, 40 blue shells, and I just finished the mirrored, so I've done 4. The 450, 100, 150, and mirrored all the track. All the cups, and I bet I've destroyed between 30 and 40 blue shells on the Wii U version. I think I only did 2 blue shells in the total time I had the game.
But so what you're saying is that you don't want casual gamers on the podcast, but I mean, Rob, he likes Metroid Prime too.
I love Metroid Prime 2 because it's a great game.
I only played it once, and I never started it a second time, so I can't really comment.
I will say it's the third best of the 3.
I
That's
felt
for sure.
definitely felt a little tedious in the beginning, and I didn't like the whole phase mechanism as much. Like, I didn't like that whole mechanic where you had to go into like super powered phase mode. And,
That's corruption. That's
Yeah.
3.
The third best
That was
of the
third?
3
No,
makes
That
it
was
the worst.
yes, it was. That was absolutely 3.
you sure?
I'm 2 trillion%. It's number
2
3.
trillion. That's
I thought
all.
that
Someone in the
that's a lot of
comments got to
zeros.
back me up. Echoes had the ether and dark ether, where you went back and forth from the dark and light world.
And
That was the
Poison,
mechanic
it had
in
the
that one.
ammo, it was shit.
Yeah, and the ammo thing is tough. It's that
Oh
was
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I remember.
So yeah. It's a
That
great
was the
game.
part of corruption I didn't love. I didn't use that mode too much.
There's only a couple times where the game ever
Yeah,
required you to do it, so it was fine.
I didn't
Now
feel
what
it
if
I
in
was
the
legit
Metroid-
gonna quit after the phase. That was the first one, Metroid Prime, the Phazon Pirate. I was ready to hang it
the
up,
Omega
man.
Pirate.
Omega Pirate. I was ready to hang it up. I was like,
That's
Just
the
not good
second to
enough.
last battle too. That is one of the hardest
Yeah,
fights I've ever
it was
had
tough.
in the game. Yeah.
The
I beat
Ridley
that on
fight was
hard mode.
on hard mode. The Ridley fight got me. I couldn't get past it.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Now-
sorry. I'm sorry. Ridley's the second to last fight.
Yeah.
You do Ridley after you do the Omega Pirate.
I didn't even want to fight the Metroid Prime on hard mode. Ridley was.
I've done it.
Running around. Oh my
I've
god.
done it twice. It's really hard.
Well,
All right, Robert. Final thoughts, man.
No, I was gonna say.
Or
Well,
not Robert. Sorry.
well, no, I was gonna say. Well, I was saying, what if it wasn't?
Well, finally, we've done with me messing up the names.
No, you won't. You'll still mess it up.
Well, what if there was a Metroid game announced at E3, right? But it's a same as dating simulator.
Get out of here. That's the worst
10
thing
out
ever.
of 10, best game, best game.
No.
I'd be pissed if it was another co-op only experience, because that to
I
me
don't
was
think they're
like,
going to do that. No.
I don't
they're
think
not.
so.
Federation Force would have been great if the whole game wasn't designed around the co-op experience, and then you can do it by yourself. Well, that wasn't very fun. That was pretty hard in some spots. It's almost
Yeah.
impossible. I love the mechanics of it, and I would have been fine playing as the Federation Force, but just they would have done a better single player option, because it's hard getting people together. So I play with randoms mostly.
Well, no, you played with me, remember?
Yeah, we
That
played
was
that
it.
one time,
That doesn't mean enough to him.
but it still would have been better with a couple more people, because we played
Yeah.
a level that was pretty tough with just
Mhm.
two. So, but anyway, Rob, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I guess I won't make it a whole long thing. I'm going to be really sad that I don't get to do this every week for a while, and I hope that it certainly can change soon. But I'm going to miss you guys. I'm going to miss talking to you guys in person every week for sure. And I really hope the podcast, like the views and stuff, doesn't slow down. Like, I never even thought about that till you said that, and that would really be sad to me. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Like, everyone who likes and listens to the Juices Loose should definitely keep listening. Like, I'm going to keep listening. So I think that would be really just crazy. But other than that, I mean, like maybe we may have a reason in just a month to get me back on to do E3 stuff, since we've all got a bunch of days off in a row to talk about whatever.
Yeah, I think
there, so.
either way, but definitely if there's a Metroid announcement, then no,
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have to be on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I will do everything I can to be on. So it's weird because I have a lot of flexibility with my work too. It's just the way things are required and what I'm doing with and for them, and to do things. It's like I have to be available and I have to do things on a lot of Mondays. And Sundays are not available days. It's always Mondays. That's the only day I could do what I could do. So it totally clashes with the podcast. But so like if something like that did happen and I had to go emergency status, like I'm not working on Monday, I could do it. So if a Metroid happens, I could make that happen and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'll miss you guys. I'll miss everybody, but it's gonna be great. And I'll end with a game thing. I've been playing Prey, and that game started great. Then it got really annoying, and I thought it was a huge mistake, and then it got awesome again. So I'm really enjoying it now. Probably like 6 or 7 hours in. It's not as good as what the original game set up. I was hoping they would go in a different direction. It's kind of not original, but it's really freaking good. So I'm glad that the game improved after the first couple of hours. So I recommend it to people.
Cool. I still haven't seen any gameplay of it.
It's very much like a BioShock meets Deus Ex kind of thing. It's got that look and vibe to it, and it's slow paced. Like those games are slow paced. So it's not, like I said, it's not original, but it's just really, really good for what it's doing. So I'm liking it.
Yeah, I haven't really. I mean, other than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I haven't really touched anything. I haven't put Zelda in since that day you beat it. So whatever. Week ago or whatever that was.
Almost just over a week ago, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. So like I'm looking forward to the next game, but I'm also like just trying to decide what will be that next game for me, because I mean some multiplayer fighting games aren't really gonna to hold me over like I want. So
it's a good point. I mean, I don't really know when the next big like adventure kind of thing is. That's why I was glad for Prey, because I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So maybe I'll finish Gravity Rush 2 here. I haven't turned my PS4 on in a while, but
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Rob, it's been fun. I know that we had a lot of laughs and disagreements. I mean, friendly disagreements, just that we don't always have the same opinion, which is good.
That is a good thing.
And it's been fun. So we'll see what it's like without you, but Retro Death will definitely have you on. Maybe not every week. We'll see. But definitely the next coming weeks with pre-3 talk and stuff, it should be some good conversation. But this one, just like last week, when kind of just left it up to seeing where the conversation went. I almost think this is it's hard because you can never predict if it's going to be good, and it's nice to have topics too. So I'm kind of torn.
I think maybe just having like backup topics, so that if it seems like the conversation is stalling, you can be like, well, how about this?
This is one where I'd really like to go back and listen to, just because it was just us talking like friends, and it's for you have gamer friends and your brother plays games and stuff, and for me, when I'm not talking to you guys, like people, because I'm 38, so I'm the youngest in my family, so there's no gamers in my immediate family. And then the people I work with some people, most of them are older than me, and they just don't even understand video games. Like they think that's just like the most pathetic use of your time. Yeah. So I can't really talk about it with other than maybe a few people. So that's why these podcasts, main reason I really started it was just to start talking about gaming with people that like gaming. So it's always something I look forward to, even when I like, man, I don't know what we're going to talk about. And like T always points out, we always find something, and we always go at least 2 hours. Again, we're going almost 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it's like I had nothing wrote down but rhyme, talking about the rhyme pricing. So
yeah,
it's good stuff. And when you can make it, we'll see if, depending on who, I might already have like 5 guests or something like that could happen. If it's a last minute deal, if you're like, hey, I'm available, we'll have to see in case I had somebody else booked. But anytime.
Yeah, I would never like expect you would like move people for me until I would hopefully be able to say, hey, I think I could become permanent again. Like,
Okay. So
there's
we'll-
that. So yeah,
We'll just see how it goes, but for people listening, don't expect Rob for the next month for sure, and then
Mhm.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
so yeah,
Wow.
it's been a fun ride, 143 podcasts, and for anyone that's like been there from the beginning, if they know what the first 3 of these were called, it wasn't the Juices Loose. I retitled them,
Oh,
but
man.
if somebody went back and watched number 1, 2, and 3 when I was talking, I called it something different. So that's a trivia question for somebody in the comments if they want to answer that.
I want to know what it is. I'm really
I'll tell
curious.
you.
I
Okay.
want to know too. Shit.
So I think the first one was just me, and then I added one. My buddy Derek Steelfox joined me a few times, and I started getting other people. And Meza T was on right, like somehow he got on like on number 14 or something. I don't know how I convinced him to join me when I had like no subs.
He wanted to put some chocolate on your.
Back then, I was using the
He's
voice
like,
the whole time.
Got this scrub hitting me up for his podcast.
Yeah, he wants to put the chocolate on the podcast. That's what he was doing.
And we had cameras on. I had the cameras on rule the whole time, and I still like watching when people have the cameras on when they have like good quality and
We could do that
We gotta get
again.
back to that.
yeah.
I was
We'll
like,
see.
how about you? I was trying to think, what would T's camera have been? Would he just have the doll in front of the camera?
Yeah,
He did it once.
I did it one time. That was funny.
So
You know what?
Imagine that.
But I think
You know what?
if we do that, I think you'll see me next time.
Oh,
Man, I'm ready
Look
for
at
that.
his face reveal, man. He's been teasing us for years.
I know he's been
Yeah.
About a year, right?
about a year. You've been like, yeah, I'm
You
gonna.
worse than a
I
doll.
was gonna
You're than a
bug you
strip
about
club
that.
hooker, man. This is ridiculous.
Just like
I
his
will
Mario
say-
Maker level was gonna be done.
Mario make a level. Yeah.
Can we not bring that up?
I
I
will
was
say,
bringing it
I-
up. Yeah, that's a wound right there, man.
It's like a running joke now.
So I
T
should
go
add
for
a-
the Mario Maker level.
I should add this one last thing since it is my quote unquote last episode for a while. Like, part of the reason I was even so excited to come on this podcast was because probably, I don't know, several months before it became permanent was when it really became solid with T and Terrell and Robert.
Mhm.
And I was listening at the time, and I was only on the occasional one here and there. And I remember, Juice, if you remember way back, you used to always try to rotate your guests.
Yeah, because I thought that would be the most interesting way to do it.
Yeah, and it was definitely not. I think
No,
it was
because then I
definitely
had
Nobody
people
like
come on.
It's
And-
like, yeah, you were wrong.
You get a group with no chemistry, and it's like I remember one time, I forget, it was like 3 of us, and then I was listening to the Gamers at Large a lot, so I was like, I trying to get every one of them on there.
Was it
And
was
Good
it
Shepherd come on,
Oh yeah.
and we hadn't even talked off air. He came on, we were already in progress, and so we had no discussions before. I never talked to him really, and it was just like
Is we washing dishes and cooking?
Yeah. it
Man,
was definitely
that stuff will really
no
Well,
class.
and it's
No
nothing to do
class.
with him. It was just the group we had, the conversation we had going, and he jumped in late, like 20 minutes late, and it was just like it killed the flow. And that's when I started realizing, well, chemistry is more important than trying to have a different guest on every week. And
I agree, and if you think about it, like the best podcasts that are big podcasts, like on iTunes and whatnot, that's always how it is. And that's what I remembered thinking for like many months before all of a sudden my schedule at work changed and I could do it. I was like for like non-huge iTunes kind of stuff, like the Juices Loose is the best. Like, yes, I know those guys, but it's always fun. The conversations are great, and it started when you picked your core, and it just became the group it is now.
yeah, once Terrell got on, I felt that's when it took
Yeah.
a turn for the better.
I didn't know Terrell. I didn't even know you until you joined, and I was like, this is good shit. This is
Yeah,
really good shit.
I'm a no name. That's how I get around.
You got that infectious laugh, you know?
Yes,
And
that's
that's
so
what it
true.
was.
Well,
And,
it's because I'm insane. That's why my YouTube channel is called The Insane Game Freak.
It's insanity.
it's too bad the AGL Red Knight. He's like he likes listening and not being on it, because when you're on it, then it makes listening to it diminished.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel that way about when he did when I was on his, and it's like I think he adds like perfect chemistry with us, but
Yeah.
you know that's his choice, and plus he didn't want to commit to every week, and he's kind of a
It's
fly by the seat of
hard
his
to
pants
do.
kind of guy. So
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
Now that you said the listening, I was wondering if Rob was, even though he's not going to be on anymore, if he's going to listen to every podcast.
Yeah, I'm
Not
gonna
live.
try to. Like, it's funny because my work situation also is kind of like Juice, you said. Like for a good while, it was really easy for me to work and listen to YouTube stuff, and I was able to hear like all the good stuff in the world. And that also has become really hard for me the last couple of months too. So I don't really get to do that. But I usually try to find time to go back and listen, and like a lot of us will listen to stuff while we're gaming, and that's where I try to do it. So I'm not going to be able to listen to everyone, but I'm going to do what I can to tune in for sure.
yeah, we'll let you know if we felt. I'll let you know if I felt it was like
Like it was a classic.
really
You
good,
checked out,
yeah,
man.
really good one.
Yeah.
And
Or just let me know that it's all crumbling and falling apart without me, and you
Yeah.
miss me, and you need me back.
you might not want to tune into the Microsoft pre E3 discussion because
Yeah.
Please don't.
you
Yeah.
like Microsoft more,
That's
a
gonna be our
lot.
best
Well,
one, man.
But I'm not sensitive about them though. So I'm sure you guys will rip them apart, which is totally fine.
I think we already did.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
kinda did.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like what
Anyway,
they'll be like the
nothing
fourth
left.
time in the last month.
Let's wrap this up because it's going on 2.5. So
Yeah, put a condom on that bitch.
thanks to everybody for tuning in. And
I gotta use that. That's great.
Yeah, that was good. The live chat kind of tapered off at the end, but that's cool.
Yeah.
We had good viewers, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. It was a great discussion, and we'll see you next week.